local team, Hereford FC, are, well, rubbish right now. But to me, that calls for a proper Football Manager adventure to try and take Hereford from here to eventually winning the Champions League. The crunch, though, is that if I don't do it within 10 seasons, I'm going to buy one of you guys in the comments who subscribes a ticket to go and watch your local team. This is proper Football Manager at its very best. Let's go and get started on the adventure. And so our latest FM adventure begins here, the National League North, with my local team growing up, Hereford FC. Now, they are, as I showed you before, really struggling in real life. They are in the relegation zone. They're struggling to win games. They're actually struggling to play games because the stadium is constantly waterlogged, flooded. Herefordshire has a lot of floods right now, and they've had to relocate to play their games elsewhere, and they've just replaced the manager. There's a bit of a fight going on to keep them in this league, which is the 6th tier of English football. All of that and my own local connections to the club has prompted me into trying to take them to Champions League glory. I'm going to give myself 10 seasons to do so, and with that obviously comes a bit of a time pressure. However, I want to do this properly. I want to do this as a proper Football Manager save, where I take my time, explain my process, talk you through the choices that I'm making all the way through. So this might be a pretty long video, and it might even go into a part 2 or a part 3, depending on how our journey goes. But I know that some of you guys like that type of thing. And ultimately, because I've only given myself 10 seasons, it might end in failure. And I'm saying it now, I think I'd be okay with that as long as we can give this a really good go. Now, here on day 1, we're actually predicted to finish mid-table in the National League North, but I know from real life results that this squad is maybe not as good as the game is predicting it to be. So I do think I want to go and try and do a little bit of wheeling and dealing, a little bit of transfer business with my £20,000 that I've got to spend and my 3.4k a week that I can use up on new signings, maybe some freebies to bring in to bolster this squad, because if we are going to achieve our Champions League glory in 10 seasons, we're probably going to need to make a pretty quick start and get up through these maybe back-to-back promotions up towards, say, the Championship. If we end up getting stuck in the lower leagues, this becomes impossible, doesn't it? So I'm going to do what I always do at the start of a new save. I'm going to do my squad it, which is my squad audit. Somebody in a comment came up with that name and I hate it, but it has really stuck here. It's where I go through every player and decide whether I think they're going to be usable. For example, Keenan Quansah is Joao Quansah's brother, so I'm absolutely going to keep him around and use him in my defense, even if he was rubbish, which he's actually nice. He's 6'4" with decent heading, and you guys know that I will definitely try to utilize that. I'm going to do my squad it. I'm going to see what players are available, and I'm also going to set these guys up in a tactic. And once I've done that, I'll come back and explain my thought process before we start off here in season 1. Okay, so there's actually loads of players available at the beginning of this save here. So I've made a fair few signings. These are the transfers coming in. Now, this looks like a longer list than it actually is. We go to from about Tony Weston upwards here. All of these players, Ilani Edwards, Charlie Pavey, Cormac Daly downwards. These were all signed before I got to the club. But Tony Weston, Sam Habigan, Bradley Stevenson, Ethan Varian, Daniel Ogunlay, Brian Quam, Manny Oyeleke, and Kevin Zeffi are our signings at the beginning of this save. Now, how long these guys will actually last at the club, if we do manage to go up and get promoted, these guys may well be bit part players in the entire journey, the entire story of this save. I'm hoping, though, they can get us off to a really good start here. I'd probably say that Kevin Zeffi is the pick of the bunch. He's going to play as one of our strikers in our system. And let me show you that system now, because I feel like it's kind of out there. Now, tell me what you think about this. This is, of course, non-league, the National League North. It's the 6th tier of England. Lots of people ask me, can I get away with playing anything but really solid 4-2-3-1s or 4-4-2s? Can you ask your players at this lower level to go and do more specialist roles? My answer is always yeah, because I do it quite a lot. And actually, remember, they are coming up against players of the same level as them. So yeah, these players can go and do that, because if you ask them to be a ball-playing defender, they can be a ball-playing defender playing the ball around against players of the same type of level. So my answer is always yes. I understand where the question comes from, but I've tried it and it seems to work. And that's why we're going to go with something kind of out there, but I actually don't know if this is working. I definitely wouldn't say it's the meta or anything like that. It's a 4-2-4 in possession, but more attacking with wing backs instead, because I do want us to be quite front foot and quite attacking. So we're going to use Quam as a right wing back and Habigam as the left wing back. Then I really like my midfield two of Oyeleke and Mafutu. And as I mentioned before, Zeffi as our striker, I think can definitely score us goals in the National League North. But because this is so attacking, this 4-2-4, 4-4-2 shape, I have dropped us back in to this defensive 5 3-5-1-2, if you want to call it that. Or you'd probably call it a 3-4-1-2 maybe. But lots of players dropping back in. 3 centre-backs with our right wing-back Quam dropping to be the right centre-back with a line of 4 in front of them to hopefully give us enough defensive solidity. If I show you both of them together here, you see how it transitions from this shape into this shape, and it's done pretty well in pre-season, which gives me the confidence to go and say that this hopefully will work in this league. We've won games 9-1. Yes, admittedly, it's against a local team, Westfield, this game here. We also beat Newcastle Town 7-1, Gloucester City 4-2, which is maybe more of an indicator. Gloucester City play in, I think it's the league below or the league below that, so much nearer to the level of Hereford here. And we also beat Redditch and Chippenham, and most recently Warrington 7-2. So what we are seeing is that this system can definitely score goals, but can we take that into the proper league season now? Because winning all your friendlies by loads of goals isn't actually necessarily proof that your tactic works. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we're going to go and eat the National League North now. I'm going to come back maybe after we've started the season to give you an update on how things have settled in, to maybe show you the top performers, show you any changes and tweaks that I've made to the system, because I am kind of thinking that that may well be the case. It's quite wacky and out there at the moment, but I do envisage that over the years, as we move up the leagues, hopefully we'll go to something a little bit more routine, because that makes recruiting players, especially the best players, when we're trying to get them into our club, it makes it a bit easier. Playing a system with roles that the best players around the world are playing in makes it much easier to bring them in and fit them into what you're doing. So we'll start off a little bit more out there and tweak it to make it a bit more routine, hopefully in the future. Now though, let's go and play some games, and I'll be back with an update soon. And there you go. I've actually now played 6 games. It is the 1st of September, and we've made a flying start. The system, the tactic that I've just shown you, definitely seems to be working, at least in this league here. Look, we have played 6, we have won 6, we have got 18 points from our first 18. It is the best possible start. We've scored 18 goals and only conceded 3, which is, yeah, it's the best possible start that we could really be asking for. Here are those results here. Look, we started off with a win against Spennymoor away from home. Bradley Stevenson, one of our summer signings, scored a hat-trick, and Kevin Zeffy scored the other goal in that game. And then we backed it up with wins against Kings Lynn, Buxton, Chorley 4-0, Radcliffe 3-1 away from home, and finally, most recently, a 3-0 win at home to Alfreton Town. Now, just for full disclosure, we're actually predicted to finish 7th now in the league after those summer reinforcements that I brought in. So I would be disappointed if we weren't at least trying to push towards those automatic promotion spots at the top. I want to finish in the top 1 or 2, even though actually South Shields and Macclesfield are odds on to finish in these top 2 places here. So we are going to be up against it a little bit. But obviously with these results, we've given ourselves the best possible start. I know that you guys that have played lower league saves like this one, though, know that winning games at this level and getting yourselves quick promotions isn't necessarily the most difficult thing. And I'm sure that loads of you have experienced those back-to-back promotions that you can achieve in a Football Manager save. Mainly, I think, because recruiting players gives you the edge against the AI teams. Even the free transfer players that you can bring in can quite quickly catapult you up the leagues. And I think that's what's going to happen here at the start of our adventure. What I'm trying to say, I think, is that this looks impressive, but in my experience, it's actually pretty common. And now with that in mind, with the great start that we've made here, I'm going to go and play the rest of our first season. I'm hoping based on this that it is going to end up being a bit of a cakewalk, and I come back to you in May with a place in the National League proper secured. That's the aim. I'll see you in about 9 months. And here you go. As expected, Hereford FC, my local team, have won the National League North. We've turned it around massively from the IRL performances so far this season to win the league on 95 points. 95 points from a 46-game season. Pretty strong. 29 wins from the 46. We just pipped Kings Lynn to the title right towards the end. Now, it's actually Kings Lynn weren't one of the 2 teams predicted to finish at the top. That was South Shields, who finished 3rd and are in the playoffs, and Macclesfield, who finished 5th and are also in the playoffs. So we've managed to finish above those odds-on favourites for the league, and also overcome a surprise contender in Kings Lynn here to finish as champions. We did kind of limp over the line, if I'm going to be honest with you. We had 1 or 2 injuries, and it did kind of hold us back. It looked like at one point we were going to bottle this. We did stay unbeaten for a long time, but we even even lost our very last game with a 93rd minute winner from Peterborough Sports. But luckily, we still managed to finish that 1 point ahead of Kings Lynn. Look, there's a few draws in there. We drew with Bedford, we drew with Kidderminster in our local derby, drew with Buxton 4-4. This is kind of the tail of the tape, if I'm honest with you. We scored so many goals, but we did also concede a whole load of goals. It does make me think that this tactic is a lot of fun, the system that I showed you, but we are conceding way too many, even though I do ask the players to drop back into this defensive outer possession system with the 4 in front of the 3 at the back there. This definitely doesn't offset this really attacking in possession system, and maybe it is where we get caught in transitions with our attacking mentality, with this gegenpress style that we're going with, which is why we concede so many goals. Looking at the team stats as well, you can see we scored 120 goals, way more than the team in second, which was South Shields with 102. But if I go to defending, we actually conceded the 4th most goals in the entire league, which is crazy for the title winning team. We conceded 82 goals, really not that far away from Bedford, who conceded the most with 109 in that 46 games. That is more than 82 goals in 46 games, not far away from conceding 2 a game. That's not good enough, and it's especially not going to be good enough when we go up to the National League next year. So a little bit of rethinking is necessary at this stage for this system. That was great. It was really good fun. We won the league, but I think we just might get annihilated in the league above, where there is going to be much better teams in that National League. So I'm going to tweak this as I think about our system for season number 2. And of course, I'll do that in conjunction with having a look at the players that become available, whilst also deciding on which players get new contracts here. As it stands, just to show you the contract situation, there are a whole host of players from the top here all the way down to around about here in Ilani Edwards, all seeing their contracts expiring this summer. So it could well end up being, not even through my own choice here, it could end up being a summer transfer window with lots of ingoings and outgoings, lots of movement. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, a lot of the players that we saw for this first season might not be there for season number 2. I will do, though, what I do best, which is the Harry Redknapp style of wheeling and dealing, get together a team ready for next year, and then I'll go through our plan for season number 2. Just to mention as well, before I do that, we did have a decent run in the FA Cup this year, which ultimately ended after beating Stourbridge, Gainsborough Trinity in the early qualifying rounds, and then Scunthorpe in the 4th qualifying round via a replay where we won 5-1 in the replay, which is just annoying. We were then through to the first round proper, where we had Salford, which is a really good win for us against a team that is higher up the pyramid for sure. 120th minute winner from Ethan Varian, who did score a lot of goals for us. Another Irishman in our team, scored 29 in 42 league games. Look, 34 in all competitions in his first season with the club on a free transfer brought in from an Irish team. But after beating Salford here, we were eventually knocked out by Walsall in another sort of local derby. We were beaten 3-1 by Walsall. Obviously, they play in a couple of leagues above in League 2, but it was a bit disappointing to go out just before those heavy hitters, the big Premier League teams, came in the 3rd round. It would have been really nice to get one of those glamour ties. It would have also really helped the finances at the clubs. So I'm definitely going to make that a bit of an aim for the next couple of seasons. When we go to the National League and then League 2 and even League 1, trying to get some big glamour ties in the cup competitions to bolster our finances, to allow us to spend some money on players, is going to help us get towards this Champions League dream within the 10 seasons. The actual maths of that is sort of hitting home a little bit as well. We're in tier 6. We need to go up through the leagues and then qualify for the Champions League, which is what, 7 seasons minimum. I'm giving myself a window of 3 seasons to be in the Champions League to winning it. There is really genuinely no room for error, is there, on this journey? We may well fail to do this, but if we do, that's all right, isn't it? We've set ourselves lofty goals. We're just going to go for it. Speaking of the finances, after that season, we're in a pretty healthy state at the moment. We've got £1.1 million in the bank. It's always nice to see that number in the black and not in the red. And you can kind of see here by the income and the expenditure, we're bringing in slightly more money than we are expending, and that's keeping us pretty healthy. We've also been given about £700,000 to go and spend in the National League for next season. I probably won't spend that money. In fact, I'm definitely going to put some of that money into our scouting budget, and I may well end up putting a lot of it into the wage budget as well, depending on the free agent players that are available. Right now, though, as I mentioned before, it's all about that wheeling and dealing and setting us up for season number 2, and I'll be back once I've done that business. And as expected, it has indeed been one of those summers. So many players left at the end of their contracts. So many players wanted loads of money because we'd gone up to the league above. And it made it really tricky because I actually couldn't afford to renew a lot of the contracts. And it was much cheaper to bring other players in instead. So here is the list of 11 players that were released at the end of our first season. Keenan Kwanzaa, Oyaleke, all the way down to Aaron Skinner and Mitchell Roberts here. Now, lots of these players did play a lot of football in our first season. You would have seen them feature in that promotion campaign. However, we've had to wave goodbye for a number of reasons, but I've managed to replace them with these 15. I told you it was going to be a big summer like this. Now, a lot of these players might end up playing very few games for the club, but I am really hoping that in here there are at least a couple of gems is what we're going for here. Rather than go through them individually, because as you can see, there are a lot of them. Let me show you how we're going to set up for this second season, how we're going to set up in our slightly tweaked system. I was thinking about ripping up everything and starting all over again here because, yes, we scored loads of goals, but as I showed you, we conceded so many as well. But I've decided not to do that. I've just tweaked what we had last year. We're going to stay with the general shape. However, I have dropped back our wing backs to become fullbacks. I'm still going to give them the wing back role here, but their starting position in possession is going to be that little bit deeper, and that also goes for out of possession. Our out of possession shape now is a flat back five with 2 players in front of them, rather than the 3 with the 4 players in front of them. If you remember from last season, it's pretty much the same. 1 or 2 of the instructions have been tweaked also, but generally speaking, there is a bit of continuity here going from first season to second, even if that continuity doesn't really extend to the actual personnel that are going to be on the pitch. There's a couple of players that of course you'll recognize. Kevin Zeffi is still up front for us. Brian Quam is still at right back for us, dropping into centre back out of possession, but for the most part there's a lot of new names in here. A couple of highlights. We've got Bradley De Jesus on loan from Fulham in our midfield, and I think he's a really talented footballer, only 20. The type of loan signing that has you dreaming of signing him permanently if he does well, and maybe doing that classic FM tactic of just loaning him again next year and then loaning him again until eventually his contract runs out in 2028 and then you sign him on a free. That's what I'm scheming to do right now. Whether that becomes possible or not, we'll find out. But him in our midfield, I think, makes us really strong there. I think Terence Miles is a really good centre-back for this level. And I think both of our strikers can score goals. We've got Tony Weston, who's only 22 and has the potential to be a good League One player, according to our coaches. He's got really nice mentals in his attributes here. And he's going to partner Mason Kocher, a 19-year-old that we've signed this summer, who again has League One potential, but also has attributes, I think, in the right place for this league. This then becomes our plan for our second season, where now in the National League, the media prediction has us finishing in 7th, which is a really good indicator as to the quality of your squad. I believe that this is calculated by the current ability of your squad. And this goes to show that the free transfer signings that we've been able to make as a newly promoted team will perhaps be strong enough to go and challenge at the top of the league anyway, without my input tactically going through the games. But having a human user added to about a 7th place predicted finish, a squad that's good enough to finish there, I think we then have to start aiming towards, again, those promotion spots, maybe the playoffs for this year, because there are 1 or 2 really strong teams in this league. York City, again, we've got an odds-on favourite to go and win the league in this league. I'm now going to go and make a start for this season. I'll be back with an update as we try and get ourselves promoted again. Remember that small leeway that we've given ourselves to go and win the Champions League in 10 seasons. Promotion has to be the aim. I'm also really aiming to try and have an FA Cup run this year, because I think financially it'd be massive, and also it's also one of the most fun parts of a lower league save, isn't it? If you can get one of those big boys and maybe, just maybe, get a giant killing along the way too. I'll be back once I've played a few games this season. Okay, so I'm back here in March. Now, the reason that I've come back in March is that, having played through a load of games, my actual intention was to come back at the end of the season. That intention was formed after the first few games of this season. These were those first games of season number 2. They are really, really great results. There is a lot of green on here with just 1 red. There was a 5-2 loss away at Aldershot Town, which wasn't great. And maybe I should have paid a bit more attention to this, because it kind of became a bit of a sign of things to come. However, other than that result, we won the vast majority of our first, say, 12, 15 games here, drawing a few of them 2-2, but winning loads of them, like this game here, away at Gateshead, winning 5-1. Kocher on the score sheet twice, Zeffi still scoring goals for us, and Tony Weston, those 2 strikers, Kocher and Weston, already combining to score lots of goals for us. And at this stage, at the end of September, where I'd usually come back to give you an update on how the season is going, I was like, we're just going to win this league. This is going to be really boring if I come back and say, we're winning all of our games, let's play some more games. We've won all of our games. So I decided I'd come back in May, played a few more games, and yes, things continued pretty well through October, where we went through in the FA Cup. We beat Whitby Town in the 4th qualifying round here. We also won 7-4 away from home at Scunthorpe, which is a wild result, isn't it? But then we went out of the FA Cup in the first round proper. We lost to Port Vale. This is a bit disappointing, but Port Vale do play in League One, so we weren't expected to win this game. Again, it's annoying though that we haven't got that big glory, giant killing potential clash that I've been craving so desperately in the saves so far. And this though, after November, December, this is where things have started to go a little bit wrong. We haven't indeed gone on to win the league at a canter. Instead, we started to drop a few points. We drew just a couple of games in November, but then this happened in December. We lost to Aldershot Town again, and as I said, I should have paid more attention to that first result against them. We also lost to Dagenham and Redbridge and drew to Boreham Wood in the National League. So we played 3 league games in December. We didn't get a single win. And even though January was better, we made a few signings. We did lose to Halifax Town. And then we've had this February. We lost at home to Fleetwood, away at Woking, drew to Macclesfield, a good win against Rochdale, but then a 3-1 loss to York City before most recently losing to Morecambe. We have fallen apart. The wheels have come off a little bit, and this is why I'm coming back now before hopefully it doesn't go completely wrong. I really did think because we'd started so well, we were top of the league, we were flying. I was like, very least we're going to get ourselves automatic promotion here, top 2. But no, in March with 7 games to play, we're 4th in the league. We're dropping, not quite like flies, but not far off it, because here in 4th, we're on 71 points. 3 teams below us are also on 71 points. And even actually into 8th, they're only 3 points behind us. There is a serious chance here that we don't qualify for the playoffs, which is top 7 in this league. It's actually just 1 promoted team, of course, automatically in the National League. So Boreham Wood in 2nd, down to Southend here. All of these teams on 71 points are in serious danger of dropping out, and that's why I've come back to you here to give you this update for season number 2. If we don't get promoted, it's a serious blow to this Champions League dream within 10 seasons, isn't it? Let me though show you my plan for putting this right. I have made a tweak to our system. Now I'm going to play my Joker card, and that is this tactic here. It is the diamond. We're going to go for it again. It's very much the original tactic with a diamond midfield instead. So in possession, we are pushing our wing backs back up. We've got Emmanuel Osho on the right hand side, who's on loan from Reading. And we've also got Cameron Green on the opposite wing, who are going to provide all of our width here. And then in front of this defense, we've got this diamond midfield. I'm really hoping that it brings the best out of this man here, James Bailey. I'm really hoping that it puts right the slide that we've been on. And then out of possession, it is again this flat back 5 where we drop in and try and anchor ourselves and stop us from conceding goals. I'm weirdly having a lot of fun with the in possession, out of possession transitions between shapes. Something that I started FM26 doing loads of because it was new. And I've kind of reverted to being a bit boring and just having the same shape in and out of possession. This save, I'm thinking I'm going to try and have some fun with it. It might actually end up being the reason that we don't do as well as we possibly could. We could definitely do something that is more effective. And I have found that systems that are just the same in and out of possession weirdly work maybe even the best. But we're going to have some fun with it like this. And this, as I said before, is my Joker card that we're going to play right now to try and get ourselves at least into the playoffs. With 7 games to go, we are 5 points behind Carlisle at the top. So I'm kind of thinking we need to wave goodbye to that automatic promotion spot as champions. And actually, it's going to be really difficult even to catch 2nd place Boreham Wood here. 4 points with just 7 games to go. Could happen, of course, but they've been really good and really solid. That's why they're actually in 2nd place. Now, though, I'm going to go and finish off the regular league campaign. And I'll be back if we're in the playoffs to go through them together. And I guess I'll also be back if we end up not in the playoffs to tell you that I'm really disappointed and I've completely bottled the season, which started so well. I'll see you again, though, after match week 46. Let's hope that we can put it right. And well, the change in system, our diamond shape that we've gone to, has seemed to have worked. Since that defeat to Morecambe, which was the last result the last time I was here with you, we have won pretty much every game bar 2. We drew to Boston United, we drew to Scunthorpe, but we have beaten Tamworth the first game of the diamond 5-2, and this was a really good sign. We also beat Eastleigh, beat Ebbsfleet 5-1. I'm now very confident that we can actually get promoted this season, because we also have got through to an FA Trophy final where we'll play Yeovil, a team that we've actually just beaten in the first round of the playoffs. Now, I didn't bring you the first round because I kind of want to go on the journey through the playoffs with you here from the semi-final onwards, but we did beat Yeovil Town 4-0 after finishing in the league. I think it was 4th. I'll show you that league table in a second. But this first game here against Yeovil, the club that we're going to play in the FA Trophy final, goes to show just how strong we've now become. Way higher XG generated from us, and goals from Kelly and Osho, Kelly with 2 there, and Regan Clayton, our sub left back, gave us a 4-0 victory. And that takes us in now where we're going to play Southend in the semi-final of the playoffs. That final league table, there's the playoff teams. Look, it is Boreham Wood, it is Altrincham, it is Southend, and it is us. That final league table looked like this. Carlisle did end up champions, although Boreham Wood and Southend, our opponents coming up right now, did push them all the way. Even, you could say, because I just showed you those really good results, we ended up not that far away from that title winning points tally, just 4 points the eventual winners. But look at that for a table at the end of the season. 3 teams on 92 points, and it came down to goal difference, which is what won it for Carlisle, with plus 35 compared to plus 32 and plus 29. Ours, by the way, plus 49. We are still scoring so many goals, but we are also shipping more than the teams around us. In fact, you'd have to go all the way down to Aldershot, who finished in 14th, to find a team that conceded more goals from us. And this is even with the change to the system where we played a more routine back 4 that went to a back 5 out of possession. Again, is this something that we still need to continue to tweak into next year, or do we go for it as we've done in the last 7 games of this season and just try and outscore opponents? I guess that is the more fun way of doing it, isn't it? Now, though, attention turns to Southend, the semi-finals, and then hopefully at Wembley, we will face one of Boreham Wood or Altrincham. Now, though, I'm going to go and pick a team, and I will see you at the full-time whistle, hopefully having secured a place in the final. And here we are. Yes, indeed. We are going to the playoff final. I said I was confident, and it has transpired to be a really positive result for us. However, Southend, who were one of those teams that finished on 92 points in the league, they made it really difficult for us. Have a look at these stats here. It's 72% possession from Southend, even though we managed to score 4 goals in this. We created a load of XG less, though, than Southend, who will be a little bit disappointed to have conceded 4. But ultimately, it's job done from us. Let me show you the goals. It starts off with a goal from Bailey. I'm very aware I've not actually shown you much in-game action, have I, so far? But over the course of this series, I will definitely show you some games. There will be some live comms because we've got a long old journey to go through. I'm really liking the slow grind that I'm hoping this is going to be, even though I'm hoping in the early stages, as we are here, season number 2, we are going to hopefully keep flying up the leagues as we've seen so far. Hopefully with a playoff win coming up against either Boreham Wood or Altrincham. Now, I imagine it's going to be Boreham Wood. They were the better team this year. They were the team that finished again on 92 points, like Southend. This was the second goal. It was an equaliser from Southend. Austin down the right-hand side. You see us there with that back 5 almost. It's kind of a back 4, actually, as you saw it there, but we usually drop ourselves into that back 5. Kendall, though, put the ball into the back of the net for the equaliser. And then moving into the second half, we took the lead again. The goal there from Onakwuli before Southend then made it 2-2. Eventually, though, we ran out 4-2 winners, with the pick of the bunch probably being this goal here. As the ball comes across, it's Kocher in the middle. And I think that was the goal that made it 3-2 to us. And then we went on to make it 4-2 after this point. That was the final goal, look, that made it 4-2 to us on the night and secured our place in the Wembley playoff final, where we will indeed come up against Boreham Wood. Boreham Wood beat Altrincham 2-1 in that other semi-final, and this is going to be a really tricky task. They have been above us pretty much throughout the entirety of this season, so let's pick a team once again and see if this group of lads can secure us League 2 football, League football for Hereford, and maintain this perfect start to our adventure as we aim for the Champions League eventually. I'll again pick a team, and I'll see you at that full-time whistle. Fingers crossed it goes our way. And it has. We are indeed getting ourselves promoted. We left it, made it a little bit scary, having to do so via the playoffs. But eventually, it was goals from Varian and Miles. Varian gave us the lead through this goal. It was a big ball forward down the left-hand side for Onakwuli, and he beat his man, look, to get the ball into the middle, bounces off the keeper. Varian heads in. That gave us the lead. Before then, Miles made it 2-0 just before the hour mark from a set piece. His header bouncing around. He eventually gets it back, puts it in past the keeper here at Wembley. And that lead was enough to see us over the line in the end, even though Boreham Wood did get a goal back through O'Connell from the penalty spot. I actually ended up shifting us into a 4-2-3-1 for this game, as you see by the shape here. Look, something that I did do in the semi-final as well. We've got players that really suit this. Something I have touched upon throughout the journey this season, and maybe something we should build towards for season number 3, now that we're going to officially be a Football League team. We're going to have to make sure that everybody goes on to professional full-time contracts. There's going to be some turnover in the summer once again, because that is the nature of these lower league saves, non-league saves. You sign players on 1-year contracts, 2-year contracts at an absolute maximum. So I am envisaging another season of turnover, but recruitment is kind of our superpower for going up through the league. So I'm not going to shy away from doing that as much as possible, or as much as needed, to make sure we build a team that is competitive even in the league above as we get there. I'm going to go and do all of that again now. Build a team, maybe tweak a system to try and make Hereford competitive in League 2. And this right here, this transfer window that I've just completed, ready for season 3, this is going to be my masterpiece. And I'm going to take my time here to introduce to you the entire squad, pretty much, because I really feel like this is where the save really starts. Last season was brilliant. We did get promoted, although it was kind of by the skin of our teeth via the playoffs. This year, I'm going to revert to the 4-2-3-1 that I kind of used and moved into when we needed a bit more solidity and normality, almost, in terms of shape, in terms of approach. We're going to use the 4-2-3-1, and I've brought in a whole load of players now that we are officially a full-time professional league, Football League team in League 2. Let's go through the players then. Our goalkeeper for season 3 is a Brazilian. It's quite fun when you can start to bring in Brazilian players. We have ESC places, so not only have I been using the filters to find players that are likely to get work permits, but also a couple of players I've been able to give these ESC places, even though they wouldn't usually get work permits for us. This man here is valued between 550k and 1.4 million pounds. Raul Steffens is going to keep goal for Hereford from now on. He's a goalkeeper that actually played in the top division in Brazil last year, even if it was just for one game for Botafogo. But that in itself, I think, is a decent pedigree to be having in League 2. In front of him, a back four. Now, I should actually just show you how my squad it kind of went here. A lot of the players that you will see on our bench and in our reserves are the players that were some of our better players over the past couple of seasons. Players like Miles, Kelly, we had Kevin Zeffi, Kocha, Quam. These players were the better players that got us promoted, but I've moved them to now become backups by hopefully signing better players than them and really push us on to hopefully flying up through these leagues, as we have to do if we're going to achieve this challenge. Our back four is Andrea Olivieri at right back. He is valued at £1 million, signed on a free, and he was playing at second division football in Italy not too long ago, look, for Pescara and Bari the year before that. So he's got a little bit of pedigree too, and still only 24 years old. I'm also really hoping, as you'll see by a lot of these players, that they're brilliant for this league right now, but also because they're young, they should also get better if we get to League 1 and the Championship, and maybe even some of these players into the Premier League. That's how confident I am that some of these are really, really good. At right-sided centre-back, we are going to have this man, Luis Segovia. He's not one of the younger players. He's 29, but he has a full cap for Ecuador. So again, that's pedigree. We've put him on £3,500 per week. This really shows the progress that we've made. We can now give players wages, 3.5k a week, which would have been the entirety of the remaining budget for the first season of this save, if you remember back to then. His defensive partner is going to be William Ackerson, who we've also signed on a free transfer. He is Swedish. And then at left back, we've got Matthias Jontop, I want to say. How you pronounce that? It's the double L, so it's probably a y sound, isn't it? You can help me with my my language skills in the comment if you feel so compelled. He is a very pacey left back though, and I'm really hoping that that pace can really be something beneficial in this. He's also 25, so there is room to grow. He's already a good League 2 player, can grow into a good League 1 player. And then our midfield is really fun. We've got this man here, another Brazilian called Mikias, who again has massive value, £800,000. If we can keep these players, fantastic. But if we end up selling them, we're going to be able to get some serious money for a lot of these guys. And if we reinvest that and bring in players as well as we've been able to bring in players so far in the journey, that should keep us moving up these leagues really quickly. Mikias, not so long ago, did play football in the top division in Brazil, look, for Bahia. And as you see by this, he's made a brilliant start for us in the league. We've actually played 2 games already because there's 1 or 2 transfers that I wanted to get over the line before I gave you a full recap of what the squad is going to look like. We've played 2 games in our season so far. One of the games, Mikias scored a goal and got an assist and got an 8.3 rating, which is not a bad start at all, as he's going to be partnered by Ollie Harrison. Harrison came through the youth academy at Newcastle, moved to Chelsea, didn't ever play a professional game. He has now played a professional game though, and did okay on his debut there as well, but only 20 years old. A really good example of hopefully growing with the club as we grow up and go through the leagues. In the attack, and this is probably where I'm most excited, on the right hand side we have got Rico Richards, a fantastic name. Not only a fantastic name, but a very, very good player. 13 acceleration, 15 pace is going to be really useful for us. We actually spent money on him. We spent £65,000 to bring him in. And have a look at this for a debut. 1 game played, 3 assists, player of the match, 10 out of 10. If Rico Richards can continue that, we'll do pretty well, I reckon. He'll play on the right-hand side, with on the left-hand side, another Ecuadorian by the name of Jose Klinger. Again, signed 50% because he's a brilliant player and 50% because he's got a fantastic name. He's also had a really good debut, scored a goal on it and got a 7.9. I will show you how the first 2 games have gone so far, because you're probably thinking, that's a lot of goals scored. It is, yeah. Finally, though, the first 11 is capped off by Kamari Doyle, who's going to play as our number 10 in this new 4-2-3-1. He is already, according to our coaches, a good championship player, and his attributes really do reflect that. And he also is only 22 years old. Kamari Doyle actually played in the Premier League for Southampton back in 22-23 before really establishing himself in this save in League One with Exeter, Crawley, Reading, and more recently Huddersfield, which is where he was before this season when we've signed him. And he also has had a really good debut. 1 appearance, 2 goals, 1 assist, 9.5. But I have left the best till last, and I am super excited about this man. And he also has a brilliant name. Up front, leading our line, is the man that I hope can become our save hero. His name is Batista. Batista Farias is an Argentinian 23-year-old who is very well-rounded, is already a leading League 2 player, can become a League 1 player, but he's got a fantastic name, and I think he's going to score a lot of goals for this club. He's already scored 2 goals for this club on his debut with an 8.6, but his name's Batista. He's going to lead our line, and what I'm really hoping is, as I'm about to go and play the first matches of this season, I might try and go and do half of the season. I'm really hoping that Batista Farias scores a load of goals and can put us into a really good position at around about the halfway point of season number 3. As I mentioned before, we have played a couple of games. It is 1 game played in the league, 1 win, which was a 6-0 away win at Hartlepool. Can you see this is maybe why I'm a little bit confident for this year? And we've also beaten our local rivals Shrewsbury 4-1 away from home. Batista Farias scored in that one, as well as 2 goals in this away win at Hartlepool. 3 goals in his first 2 games. A fantastic start by all of our other brilliant players too. Batista, he's got a wrestler's name. I know nothing about wrestling, but I'm hoping there's going to be a wrestling style montage as he goes and scores a load of goals, and I'll see you in January. Not bad, eh? Batista, well, he scores goals, and this is the table as we move in to January. It is the 1st of the 1st, 2028. We are 3.5 seasons into our adventure here, over a third of the way through of our 10-season limit here, but we are on the march and looking good for promotion again. A perfect start to our adventure. 29 games played, 18 wins, 6 draws, 5 losses. It's actually really not a perfect start to the season, but we are top of the league, so you can't complain too much. 60 points, just ahead of Peterborough and Notts County. Remember, 3 teams do go up automatically here, so we are looking really good for at least an automatic promotion spot. I'd really like to become champions too, though. Batista's top goal scorer in the league with 19. We've scored the most goals in the league as well, and we are flying. I'm not going to make any real changes to the team, I don't think, in January, but that is where we're going to leave things for today. This is going to be continued. I'm going to take my time with it. I'm going to give you as much context as possible and talk you through my decision making and talk you through the process and do longer videos to kind of accommodate that. So we will do this in parts. This is part 1, and our journey with Hereford is to be continued. All right, Right then, we pick things up here. It is the 1st of January 2028. We are halfway through our 3rd season at the club. The 3rd season, which is going very well so far. And if you recall, mainly because of the goals of Batista. Batista is now, I mean, look at that game there that I just showed you. He has scored 4 goals in that game. And so far this season, he has picked up 19 goals in 24 appearances in the league. It is a 26 in 28 starts record for all competitions, having picked him up on a free from Colombia. That is the dream signing for any Football Manager player, I feel, and he is going to hopefully fire us to another promotion. Now, as I said before, there is no room for error in this series. If we fail to get promoted in any seasons, it's going to put a load of pressure on our timescale to win this Champions League within the 10 seasons. So if that happens, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But this season, I'm really hoping isn't going to be one of those. There are 3 teams that get promoted automatically from League 2. We are at the top of the table after 29 games, over the halfway point on 60 points. Now, Peterborough can go above us if they win this game in hand. They would go to 61. But because we're on the same points as Grimsby and 8 points clear of them, I'm not too worried about not getting into the automatic spots, even if we fall apart like we kind of did last season. Although we did manage to rescue it, of course, by changing formation and getting ourselves up through the playoffs. Now, at this point, the squad looks like this, and I'm very happy with how things stand. So the first port of call for today's video isn't going to be transfers in this January window. I think it's going to be me going to go and play some games. I'm going to talk you through all of my processes. We're going to take our time with this series. Usually, I probably bang out the 10 seasons and do it in one long video. We're going to do this one in parts, but they're still going to be really long videos so that I can talk you through my process. Please do give some feedback on what you think of that format. I'm trying to mix things up. We want to go on actual proper Football Manager adventures like this one. We want to do simulations. We want to have fun with things. We want to do the movies and things. I want to give you guys, though, what you want to see. So please do give me that feedback. And you know what? Whilst I'm talking directly to you, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, because both of those things are really helpful. Now, though, I'm going to go and play those games as mentioned. I'm going to go and see if Batista, our star striker, I actually look at his profile. I don't think he looks that amazing, but I still look at it and think he's really good for League 2. So maybe that's what's going on here. He's very well rounded. He doesn't have blistering pace or anything like that. He's not massive. He's only 6 foot, but he's got that one crucial ingredient. He knows where the goal is. So hopefully Batista still scores the goals, and I'll hopefully be back at the end of the season to celebrate winning the league, and then we'll get back to transfer business for season number 4. And well, yes, we did manage to do it. Here is the end of season table, and I tell you what, we really did pull away from those rivals at the top. Peterborough had that game in hand. We've ended up finishing 16 points clear of them at the top of the table. It was a phenomenal second half of the season, or last part of the season. We've ended up on 101 points from our 46 games, 31 wins, 8 draws, only 7 losses over the course of the season, and 118 goals scored. We even had one of the better defensive records in the league, and if you recall last few seasons, in the last video, that was not the case, was it? We've got by far the best goal difference, conceded 53. I mean, Peterborough only conceded 43, but 53 is much more in line with where you'd want it to be. Look at that, by the way. Walsall only scored 70, but only conceded 39 goals in 46 games. They got themselves into the playoffs. They are in, I think it is even the playoff final that they're in there, Walsall. Be quite cool to see if they manage to go up with that really defensive record. They won on penalties here, look, after losing 2-0. Anyway, we digress. Let me show you the stats of some of our players playing this 4-2-3-1 system this year. The big one, I know you want to know, how many goals did Batista score? He ended up on 41 in 46 games. Now, in the league, that equates for 31 goals in 39 games. It was 35 starts, 31 goals. All competitions, that 41 goal haul there. What a signing he's ended up being. His value is actually not even that high, between 60k and 275k. He's got one more year on his contract, so we do need to look at that one. He's also on 3.5k a week, which is a decent wage for League 2. But we will be continuing our journey up to League 1. We've been handed £336,000 to go and spend for this season in League 1, and a very decent 59k extra in wages to go and bring in some players. I'm really hoping that the boost in reputation from going to League 1 now is going to start to open up the world in terms of which players we can bring in as signings. I think back to old FMs, and in League 1, I remember signing Neymar for Malvern in, I think it was FM 20. I even signed Lewandowski, I think, in League 2 in that very very same save. It'd be really cool to bring in a proper global superstar for Hereford for this save, wouldn't it? However, if that isn't possible, we'll still hopefully be able to bring in some real quality, and that is very much my aim. We're just under £1 million in our overall finances, so the club is in a really good state financially, which is always a little bit of a worry for me. I have a real tendency to overspend on wages just because the club makes that wage budget available, and I think, well, you've given it to me, I'm going to go and spend it. I'm going to go and get the best players, and in a save like this, that's super tempting because we need to rush up through the leagues. I do really need to be careful that I'm not going to end up hamstrung by the finances somewhere later down the line that is going to put a stop to this pursuit of dominance at the very top of world football. So things are going very well at the moment, but it is something that I'm keeping an eye on. Just to touch upon some of the other players' performances over the course of this season, they are all very, very impressive. In fact, all of our players except for our goalie and one of our defensive midfielders, Harrison, all of our players ended up on over a 7 average rating. And that's always the benchmark for me. If it goes green at the end of the average ratings, it means you're playing very well. These three behind the striker, Batista was obviously the star man, but these three, Klinger, Doyle and Richards, all contributed massively with goals and assists. 15 goals, 18 goals for Kamari Doyle in behind the striker, 9 goals, 9 assists for Klinger on the left-hand side, 13 assists for Rico Richards on that right-hand side there, with some really decent contributions from the bench as well. Players that we kept around who were starters last season became bench players this year. I mean, Kevin Zeffi still started 30 games all comps this year, scored 10 goals, got 9 assists and got a 7.01 average rating. So these players, this idea of bringing in new starters and making the starters the backup, it's an obvious one, but it really does work. So I'll be trying to do the same again this transfer window with about £300,000 to go and spend. I really don't think the squad needs open heart surgery. I think this group of players could go and compete and maybe even win League One, but I do want to sparkle some stardust on it. And if there are loads of really good players available, I'll probably go and sign all of the really good players, because I keep saying it, we've only got 10 seasons to get to the very top now, and we're heading into our 4th season. Now though, it's transfer time. I'll see you when I've done some transfer business. Do you remember last video when I was super happy with one of our transfer windows, and I think I even called it my own masterpiece or something? This might have overtaken it already. This is a transfer masterclass. I'm saying it right now. It's going to go and get us a league win this season. I am super confident of that fact. Now, I talked about only wanting to sparkle some stardust on the squad because I thought it was really strong anyway. I have gone quite mad. I've signed 10 players this summer. 10 players, I suppose, isn't so crazy for me. And we have sold a couple of players as well. This is where it changed. Big sales giving us extra money meant that I kind of went a little bit more crazy on things like the wages of the players that we did bring in. Now, those sales were these two here. I sold Joe White, who wasn't even a starter for us every game. He had a really good season for us last season, playing in both midfield and on the wing. He scored a lot of goals. If I show you on his profile, he actually contributed with 8 goals, 8 assists, all comps, and that really strong average rating. And that has prompted League One Plymouth to come in and pay £800,000 for his services. If we can sell bench players for massive money like 800k, remember our club finances were about £920,000. This could be massive for the growing future of the club. We also did sell Yontop, our Peruvian left wing back. We sold him to Bristol Rovers for £250,000. That is over £1 million worth of profit on 2 players that we signed on free transfers. And when shifting that around, moving some of the transfer budget into the wage budget, it's allowed me to do this with still £800,000 left in our transfer budget and £26,000 left in our wage budget. I've brought in these 10 players. Now, some of these I have absolutely no doubt could go and play at a higher level. I want to pick out 1 or 2 of them. Travis Acomia is almost the definition of a meta central defender, and he's of course a centre back that I've signed in the past. I remember signing Acomia for Venezia to come and play for me in Serie A, and him being brilliant. I don't think he was Polish then, but if you look at his profile, you can see why I signed him a couple of years ago. 15 acceleration, 14 pace, 6'4", great in the air, not very agile. He's a bit of a beanstalk. He doesn't get around too much, but those attributes right there, League One, he's surely going to dominate against League One strikers. The fact that he's also 22 and is only going to get better, hopefully, is a really nice bonus. But he's maybe not even the standout signing from this summer. I've also managed to bring in, I'm going to go straight to him now, Amara Diouf. Now, you've probably seen Amara Diouf on Wonder Kid lists for FM26. He is that good. I believe he signed for a Turkish team in real real life, or at least agreed to go there. But he starts the game at Generation Foot in Senegal. In this save, he moved to Giraffe, another Senegalese team, and we've been able to pick him up for 160k. We wouldn't have done this, I don't think, unless we'd sold Joe White for that £800,000. But this guy's got superb potential. He's only 20 and he's already brilliant. Tell me I'm not wrong here. This is not a League One player. 13 dribbling, great pace acceleration, amazing agility, the opposite of Acomia. 20 determination, 16 flair, 14 technique. I think I'm going to use him out wide, providing for Batista, our striker. But I'd love it if we could keep him at the club and fully develop him, take him to the Premier League, because he's got the potential to go and play there. He's got potentially Premier League standard potential ability, according to my coaches. My coaches also think he's a leading League One player already, and we're a promoted team going into League One. This is a big signing. At the very least, if we don't manage to hold on to him, we're going to be able to sell him for a massive profit somewhere down the line, I think. He's a fully fledged Senegal international. He's got 2 caps for them. This is really cool. I'll go through the other signings here. We've also signed Brahim Palacios, who's a winger option for us and has brilliant attributes, as you see here. Another Colombian. What I've been utilizing massively this summer is the work permit chance filter in our player database. If work permit chance is work permit likely, and applying this, you get this list of players from all around the world that are likely to get work permits to come and be able to play for you in League One. Meaning we're able to sign people like Brahim Palacios, which the other AI teams in League One, they're just not doing this. It gives us a massive advantage over the other teams in the league. And this is why it's so possible to fly up through the leagues in FM26. I almost want this to not be a thing in the game, but for the purposes of our challenge here, trying to get to the Champions League in 10 seasons, this is a gold mine. In fact, if you're not doing it in your save, you really, really should be. It makes finding super players for cheap way easier. So Palacios is going to play on one of our wings, potentially as an option there. We've brought in Usman Kane to come and sit at the base of our midfield. And again, our coaches put him as being a leading League One player, and we've just been able to bring him in on a free transfer. I brought in another player from Giraffe in Senegal as well. His name is Mame Alassane Niang, a 6'4" striker. I'm a bit worried that he might end up having to take the place of Batista, because looking at his attributes, he might even be a bit better than Batista maybe, and he's 6'4", so you know how much I'm going to appreciate that, right? A new left back in Reece Norrington Davis, very solid. I'm sure that loads of you would have signed him in your saves over the past couple of years. David Martinez, a centre-back, 30 years old, Paraguayan. Patrick de Paula from Brazil. I've signed him multiple times. I really like his work rate and teamwork in that midfield. If he had slightly better physicals, this would be the type of centre midfielder that I would convert to be a left back. He's left-footed. And actually, he can kind of play that. I just don't think he's quite fast enough to do that in this save. And I don't think we need to. I think we could use him as a midfielder and he could be really good. We've got these 2 DMs, remember, in our 4-2-3-1 system. And then finally, the last couple of players are Bernard Carica, another winger option from Albania, and João Lucas, another Brazilian, who's going to come in and play right back for us. The team is constantly evolving, so that I think this is probably our first team squad at this point here. This attack of Batista with Amara Diouf, with Palacios on the other side, Kamari Doyle, who was so influential last season, with 2 new midfielders behind them, Patrick de Paula and Usman Kane, with 2 new very strong centre-backs in Acomia and Martinez. I think this is a team that should go and win League One, and that is almost reflected in the media description. Look how strong our recruitment has been here. We are predicted to finish 2nd in the league, even though we are a newly promoted team. Derby County, who got relegated from the Championship, are odds-on favourites to go and win the league, but I reckon we can beat them to this title. I really do. I think this team is really, really strong. And just to show you as well, I know that you're thinking, wow, you've spent loads of money on wages there. The FFP rules for League One is that we must keep wage expenditure under £95,000 per week, and we're spending £89,000 per week on wages. So yeah, we are right at the very top limit, but we aren't overdoing it. And our finances now show us that we've got £2.6 million in the bank. We're turning a profit each month just about, and we've got loads of our budgets left over as well. So yes, we are very much speculating to accumulate, but I still think we are being relatively sensible. At least I don't think we're heading for financial ruin at this stage anyway. The transfer window is actually still open at this stage. It isn't yet August. We're about to go and kick off our 4th season. I am maybe thinking that we might do a little bit more business to really push on, make the most of the opportunity where we've got this money to go and spend, thinking about future seasons rather than just this season now. But to be able to do that, we probably need to shift on a couple of players to free up some wages below that salary cap. So I think I'm going to go and play some games, and when I come back in January, I will update you in case I have signed any other players. But I'm really hoping, because we're predicted to finish 2nd, and I always aim a little bit higher than that, I think we can fly through this season and hopefully get ourselves heading towards the Championship. And, well, yeah, it's going exactly how I was hoping it would do. We are here now on the 12th of January, just after that January has started, after 30 games in the league. We've won 21 of them. We've drawn 5. We've lost 4. It's actually a little bit disappointing, if you ask me, that we've lost 4 games. We lost to Stockport, Peterborough, Wickham and Millwall. But we are 12 points clear at the top of the table. It's Wickham in second. Our main rivals, according to the media prediction, should have been Derby County, but we are 17 points clear of them. They've already lost 7 games compared to our 4. And they're not scoring anywhere near as many goals as we are. 44 goals scored. We've scored 79 and we've only conceded 37. It's still not the lowest in the league. Maybe one day we'll score the most and concede the least. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't play football like that. I'm not an Arteta. We will always attack and we will always leave ourselves slightly open at the back, I think, is the way that we're going to do this. But it does mean that we've got the best goal difference and we're flying at the top of the league, doesn't it? However, this is a great and lovely update, but it's actually not the main update that I need to bring to you. Instead, I need to go back to my messages and show you that we've planned to build a brand new stadium. Chris Ammons, our chairman, says, I'm very pleased to announce that plans are afoot for the club to build a new stadium. The plans will be finalised by June 2030 and a capacity of around 13,000 is expected. Finalised plans, does that mean it's going to be ready by June the 30th, or does that mean they're just going to finalise the plans to build it and we'll know when or how long it's going to take? Either way, 13,000 capacity is an improvement on Edgar Street, although I'd maybe argue that if we've got grand plans to go and win the Champions League within 10 seasons, 13k might not even be enough, but I'm hoping that a brand new stadium means that we can continue to expand it as we move up through the leagues. You can also see here where I've been asking for improved youth facilities and training facilities, and I've been told no, maybe because they knew that they're going to spend a load of money on this brand new stadium. Hopefully that is the case anyway. I would really like to improve the youth and the training still, though, as we do go up through the leagues, because I'd love to bring in some new gen players and bring them into the fold and maybe have a bit of a storyline before the end of some players that we've nurtured ourselves. But the focus right now is, of course, going up through the leagues, and this is how our squad is performing. And these brand new players, this new team that I talked you through, is doing fantastically well. And again, loads of it comes down to our main man, our striker, Batista Farias, who has scored 30 goals in 33 starts this season. He's only picked up 4 assists. Maybe we need to work on that a little bit, but he is our sharpshooter up front, serviced by our wingers of Palacios and Juve. Juve now up to 1 star in his position as well. And by the way, that is just because he has brilliant familiarity in possession. You can see that reflected by the star ratings here, but because we drop him back to play as a wide midfielder, he's really not loving that, which brings his overall star rating in this position down a little bit. Ignore it, really. It doesn't really matter because it seems to be working. He started 30 games and got 11 goals and assisted 21 times. I think he actually does have the best average rating in our squad as well, with a 7.5. So he has indeed been that game-changing signing that I thought and hoped that he would be. And Palacios on the other side has also got himself 10 goals and 14 assists. The best performer in the defence hasn't actually been Travis Acomia, as I thought it might be. Instead, David Martinez next to him, 7.28 average rating. A little bit of experience, brought in a 30-year-old, which is against every Football Manager player's instincts most of the time, but he's come in and he's marshaled our defence perfectly. A former Paraguay international, and he's come in and performed like that in League One here. 27 starts. He scored himself 2 goals, but that 7.28 average rating shows that he's having a really strong effect on our defence back there. And that's the tail of the tape generally. Patrick De Paula, you might notice, isn't in the squad at the moment. He's strained his knee ligaments and has missed a few weeks. He has started 26 games down here, though. You can see the rest of the stats of the players. But another brilliant update to bring you is the fact that we did get our glamour tie in the FA Cup. It has just happened, and we did lose, but we have just taken Spurs to extra time in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Spurs, who had 62,000 fans there, we brought 3,000 of our own, put out a really strong team. Lucas Bergvall played. Esposito scored a penalty in extra time. It was a horribly rainy day, but we actually took the lead through Farias. He smashed it past Vicario. Batista, I should call him. I need to not call him by his surname. His name's Batista, but Spurs did bounce back. They equalised on 59 through Ruiz, set up by Jadon Sancho. They've got Antoine Semenyo in their team. Mohamed Kudus is playing. Bentancur, Christian Romero, Vuskovic, who's brilliant. Van der Ven played left back. This was a super strong Spurs team. We took them to extra time, and then in extra time, they showed their class a little bit. Bergvall, and then that penalty from Esposito. But massive positives to be taken from that, because not only did we put up a really good fight against a Premier League team, but also 62,000 fans. We get half of those gate receipts, and that was a lovely boost to our finances. We currently sit on £2.4 million, which is about where we were before. But if you think about the idea that we're spending a lot on wages, this is all really positive, isn't it? Top of the league, just got a lovely windfall from a cup competition, getting to the third round of the FA Cup. I should show you as well that we actually beat Sheffield Wednesday in the second round, and it was Dorking. A 3-2 win in both of those rounds set up this glamour tie with Spurs. We are now out, but we were never going to win it anyway, were we? We've got what we wanted from the cup run. A brilliant day out for the lads and a load of money. But focus now turns to making sure that we go and win this league, and I've got my eye on a record points total. There are 16 games to play. I'm going to go and play them now. And listen, I'll be back to hopefully celebrate another title win, but if we bottle this, it'll be one of the worst bottle jobs ever. I'll see you in May. And there we go. It is the 19th of May. And yeah, we did win the league. We didn't bottle it. That would have been absurd, really, wouldn't it? We've ended up on, I want to say it's a record points total. At least I'm hoping that it is without actually checking. Maybe one of you guys could help me out on that. We've hit 109 points. And perhaps most impressively, we have scored 134 goals. The next best for goals scored was Wickham with 96. And the media prediction predicted us to finish second, and it predicted Derby to be odds-on favourites, but they finished down in 8th. They will not be getting themselves promoted because the playoff final is between Plymouth and Lincoln. In fact, that makes me want to check. Last season, did Walsall win that playoff final? No, they lost 2-0 in the playoff final last season to Barnet, although it does look like, I don't know why I'm just checking in with Walsall so much. It does look like they've got themselves to the playoff final again this year. Back to the real matters at hand, though. We have got ourselves up to the Championship. We're heading into season 5 in the Championship. Let's say we get promoted to the Prem at the first time of asking. If we're in the Prem at season 6, let's give ourselves 2 seasons to qualify for the Champions League. That would give me, I think, enough time to build a Champions League winning team. Every time I go through this in my mind and try to plan it out, though, it just shows me how tight this is going to be. It's quite scary. But again, it's another promotion. We've done it back to back to back. It is so possible in FM26. I'd really like to give these guys a go in the Championship, but there's always that voice in the back of my head saying, sign players, Clayts, sign players. So I will see what becomes available. Another bit of reputational growth is going to open up even more doors for signings, isn't it? So I'll have a look. Of course, we'll have a look. And I'll go and conduct a little bit of transfer business before coming back to take on the Championship. I should say as well, we've been given £2 million to go and spend in the transfer window with £59,000 in wages. Our overall balance is down to £1.1 million. This is down to wages, and I do wonder how the new stadium is going to impact this as well. I said we weren't quite heading towards financial ruin, although I am very conscious that that isn't a load of money in our overall balance right now. I suppose the one thing you can rely on, though, is if we get to the Premier League and you get the Premier League money, you're then sort of fine forever. We just need to make sure we can get ourselves out of the Championships. Maybe I'm talking myself into doing a lot of transfers rather than just giving these guys a go in the Championship. Maybe I'll wait until we get there and see what our media prediction is and make a bit of a judgment based on that. Either way, it's time for transfer stuff. I'll see you when we're ready to start season number 5. My name is Clayts, and I have an addiction. I cannot help myself from signing players in Football Manager. I do feel, though, I've got an excuse this time around. I've signed 11 new players, but I think I've tapped into another gold mine of brilliant signings that we can make in this year's save. Again, it's the work permit likely filter in the player database. And if you do that and then also filter by age, I've managed to find all of these new gens from random places around the world. Look, I've signed players from Defence Force, Varazdin, Radnik Serdalica, Bromley, Karlovac 1919. We have scoured the globe to bring in brilliant young players for relatively cheap transfer fees, 700k being the most we spent on one single player. Now, I should say we have spent £3.3 million accumulatively here, which is over our budget. I think it was about £2 million that the club gave us, but we did manage to bring in £1.9 million in sales. I'll go through those first, perhaps. I sold Bernard Caricia, who was one of our winger options that we signed last season. We sold him to Chesterfield for £1 million. Chesterfield play in League One and yet are able to spend £1 million on one of our players. We haven't yet spent £1 million on a player yet. So actually, considering we are a Championship team now, 3.3 million in, 1.9 million pounds out is actually relatively humble. It just seems like a lot because of where we've come from in this save and how quickly we've got to this point here. But £1 million in for Caricia. I also brought in 240k for Birchall, who was one of our new gen players. 240k for Rico Richards. He had a great record for us over the time here, but he's now moved on to Huddersfield. Mikias was great in our midfield, 170k. He's gone to Tenerife. 150k for William Ackerson, one of our defenders. And then we also waved goodbye to Kevin Zeffy. Kevin Zeffy spent, I think it was 4 seasons here with us, and in those 4 seasons contributed massively to our climb. He actually came with us from the National League North to the National League to League 2, now to League 1, but we have now moved him on for £78,000 to AC Reggiana in Serie C in Italy. So Kevin, you're going to go and enjoy your time in Italy, but all of these sales gave us the means to go and spend £3 million on these players. Let's go with the most expensive first, and let me just show you how good some of these new gen players are. First of all, from Swindon, a homegrown player, Jerome Clark, 19 years old with a fierce beard. He's going to be one of our winger or striker options, probably more likely to be a striker option. He's 5'9". He's only 19 years old, and he's only going to get better. 14 finishing, 13 acceleration, 12 pace. But the key thing here is that our coaches believe, and our scouts also believed, that he's got Premier League potential. Having young players like this to come in and deputise when Batista's not playing, he might even be better than Batista, let's be honest, but Batista's my guy. He's going to play a lot of games. It's very cool, and only for the price of £700,000. We've also signed Ryan Giles, who's not a new gen player. He's 29, to come in and be a left back option. But let's get into these new gen worldies from around the world. Nemanja Milutinovic has joined us to play on our left wing, 18 years old with phenomenal attributes. Yes, we're in the championship now, so this is more normal relative to the other players we're going to be playing against, but he too has potential to play in the Premier League later on down the save, maybe even higher. He's got 4-star, maybe 5-star potential for us, and our coaches are pretty good at judging potential too. He joins from Radnik Srdelica for 400k. From Bromley, we've signed Rob Thompson, 6'2" centre-back. There's no way that man is 18 years old. He's got a grey beard, for Pete's sake. Luckily, though, he's very good at football, naturally left-sided, and again, is only going to improve. Rob's maybe not yet ready to play. He's got the potential of a League 2 player, according to our coaches, but again, potentially Premier League. We've signed Dario Pervsic from Varazdin. He's a Croatian midfielder, can play at the base of our midfield. Left-footed, 20 years old, going to improve Premier League standard, of course. Silas Blankenberg is a serious footballer. I don't like the down arrows, but a serious footballer, already a good championship player, potentially Premier League standard. He's only 19, and his name's Silas, which is just, I don't know why, but it's cool. Then there were 2 players brought in from Karlovac in Croatia. Croatia is such a hotbed of new gen players in FM. It has been for years, and it is this year again. Devad Majdak is a right back. He's a leading championship player with great pace acceleration, great stamina, brilliant work rate, great tackling. He's even got 12 crossing for a right back, which, I mean, that's rare usually, isn't it? He is going to be phenomenal, straight in the team, alongside his mate Jonah, who's going to play in front of him too, who is also outrageously good at the age of 18. This man, with his little mohawk, Jonah Alibegovic, is already a decent Premier League player. He's got great acceleration, okay pace, brilliant mentals in here. Look at the anticipation, the composure, the determination, the work rate, the passing, the heading. Even he's 5'10" with great heading, great finishing. He can play on the wing or he can play up front. I really like the idea of having these two coming in from Croatia together, from Karlovac, to play as our right wing partnership. They could play together there for years and years, like Neville and Beckham, maybe. And then finally, to finish off, I've also brought in Magnus Dalpiaz from Bayern Munich, another right back option who can also cover a load of positions. Andrew Lewis from Defence Force, who is a leading championship goalkeeper with potential to play in the Premier League. And finally, Cuban Afakan, who was a free agent without a club, who can play in behind the strikers to maybe start straight away in that spot there, because again, he's a good championship player with potential to play in the Premier League. Really nice flair with good dribbling and really good vision, which are really nice attributes to have for a number 10. All in all, and with these worldy new gens, and I mean they are worldy new gens, right? This truly is a Football Manager player's dream at this stage. All in all, I think we're going to set up like this for this championship season. We're going to have that Croatian right side with Alibegovic and Majdak. Juve playing left wing with Ryan Giles in behind. Giles at 29, Martinez at 31 now. Even Patrick De Paula at 29 too can hopefully provide a little bit of leadership experience to guide through the rest of the squad, which is very very, very young. But what an exciting squad to bring in at this stage. I do kind of think that we've kept the nucleus of the squad together from last year. There are familiar names. We've got Batista. Kamari Doyle's been here for a really long time. Juve's still here. Patrick De Paula, Faye, Martinez are all players that were here in previous seasons. And now we mix in some really exciting new gen players. I think this really is following the blueprint of how to do the championship. Young, exciting players that need first team football with older heads that have been there and done that. That's what we've built here. And we have actually already started our championship season. It was a 3-3 draw away at Stoke. Kamari Doyle scored twice, and then our new gen signing, one of our new gen signings, Jerome Clark, scoring on 86 before they equalised on 90+6. But the reason I wanted to show you the friendlies is that in pre-season, we actually beat Manchester United. Faye, Clark and Doyle scored the goals in a 3-1 win at Edgar Street. And yes, it's a pre-season friendly, but it does sort of show our credentials a bit, doesn't it? In terms of this squad that we've built, we are predicted to finish 18th, but I am hoping that by the end of the season, a lot of our young players will have developed and this media prediction will be a lot higher, and not just because hopefully we've won a lot of games by that point now. This is the lowest media prediction that we've had for a season for a while though. So whilst in past seasons, I've been really confident of going on to win the league, this season, I'm definitely not confident. I think it is possible, weirdly. I wouldn't be too upset if this is the first season that we don't actually get that proper promotion, because I do think we've built a team for the future that we could spend 2 seasons in the championship and still just about be on track to achieve our goal of winning the Champions League in 10 seasons. It kind of depends how we start. If we get on a roll and win a load of games, then I'll be all hyped up and think we can go and win this. But let's go and see. I'm going to come back in January to give you an update on how we've done at about the halfway mark. Well, would you look at that? We are now in January, and after 30 games for most clubs, 29 for us, we are actually heading towards promotion. It feels almost crazy to be saying this, but it just goes to show what is possible in FM26. I almost wish it was a little bit more difficult. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It seems like if you are quite aggressive in the transfer window, you can just sign so many better players than the teams around you. I wish they'd fix that. I wish it was more difficult a lot of the time. I really do. However, for a save where we've put this massive time pressure on ourselves, this is kind of what we have to do. And it genuinely wouldn't be real of me to just not be winning these games, because I'm really not trying that hard to do so. We've got a really run-of-the-mill 4-2-3-1 system. We've had a transfer window where we spent £3.3 million and sold players for £1.9 million. And we're basically managing to march to the title despite being a newly promoted team. It might genuinely be a damning indictment for the state of FM26. But I'd be more obliged to say that if I wasn't actually having loads of fun doing it. And ultimately, it is a game. And this is loads of fun. I'm bringing through young players, bringing them to the league for the first time, bringing them to the country for the first time. And they're brilliant and they're developing. And it's really actually fun and cool to see. This is the side at the moment as we are approaching our 30th game of the season. If we win that game, we would go top of the league on 64 points. We would be very much on course to go and get automatic promotion. We're on course for the title, but that is not the priority here. We'd be 5 points clear of Norwich in third, and the top 2 teams, of course, get promoted automatically. The standout performer has once again been Batista. 24 starts all competitions, 27 goals in the league. That is 21 in 28, 21 in 20 starts in the league. And he's continued this outrageous record that he's got for us. 31 goals in League 2, 35 goals in League 1, and then 21 goals at the halfway mark in the Championship. Batista, you are going to score goals for us in the Premier League. I just know it. And it is an absolute crime that you haven't yet got a cap for Argentina. One day, Batista, one day. A load of our new gens are also making massive progress. This Croatian right wing of Majduk and Ali Begovic is doing fantastically. Although they don't always start, we do have great players to come in and deputise for them. Palacios, for example, has played a lot of games at right wing still. And he's contributing really well with 8 goals, 10 assists and a 7.34 average rating. Amara Diouf, we've lost him on international duty at the moment. I think it is the AFCON, and he's not back until the 21st of Jan. But he's got himself 12 goals, 11 assists. And the best thing about him is his average ratings. He ended up last season on a 7.52 average rating, 7.36 this season. £160,000 we signed him for. And again, Diouf, we're taking you to the Premier League, my friend. I've just seen as well that our coach says that he's a decent player for most Premier League sides. We did get a bit of interest in him and a few of our other players in the summer window, but I kind of rejected any bids of any players that I wanted to keep here. I did talk about trying to keep the nucleus of the squad together, but selling on players for decent money if good bids came in is going to be something we need to do as well, especially especially with the finances looking as they do right now. We are in a bit of debt, £1.2 million of debt, but I really don't think this is going to matter if we get ourselves to the Premier League, because you get all of that Premier League money and suddenly you go from struggling to being rich. Because of the financial situation, I don't think I'm going to do any deals in January. Instead, we're going to march on. We're going to get ourselves to the end of the season, and this time we'd be celebrating getting ourselves to the Premier League. Fingers crossed that is actually the case, and I'll see you again in May. So we are going up. So we are going up. We are going up. However, we did kind of bottle the league. So in January, we were due to go top of the league above Southampton. However, their second half of the season was phenomenal. Ours was average, but we have finished second in the automatic spots, and we are going to the Premier League at the first time of asking. This is way above and beyond expectations at the start of the season. So even though we didn't win the title, I'd maybe usually be disappointed with this, but in these circumstances, I'm over the moon just to get promoted. We scored 109 goals, conceded 53. It's still not the best defensive records, but 93 points, despite a slightly dodgy end of the season, is enough to take us to the promised land of the Premier League. I'm very excited to take this squad of players to the Premier League. I'm very excited to spend the £23 million that the board have given us to go and play in that Premier League. They are speculating. They are ambitious like we are. They think we can go and win this Champions League in 10 seasons, I think, even though the overall balance is now negative £2.6 million. They, of course, know the prize money, the TV money that is on offer in the Premier League. And they know that if you don't spend a bit of money, you are probably going to go straight back down. And if we go straight back down, that could actually be disastrous for us. But the other thing to remember is that loads of these players are already Premier League quality. There's maybe a few of the more experienced lads that we could replace, maybe with other experienced lads. David Martinez, for example, is retiring at the age of 32, which is wild to me. And the likes of Ryan Giles and Patrick de Paula are probably not going to be good enough to play Premier League football. That's why Patrick de Paula is being sold already. He's going to Ava, and Ryan Giles is wanted by Portsmouth, and he'll probably be moved on in this summer if we're going to be honest. He was a great servant for us this season though. Batista finished up on 28 goals. It's his lowest goal total of his career at Hereford so far, which that's just disappointing really. It's not good enough. No, it is good enough. He's going to go and score Premier League goals for us. It's going to be glorious. Whereas Amara Diouf got 18 goals, 17 assists. And if you wanted to pause here and have a look at the stats of the other players in the squad this season, feel free to do so. It's a really exciting, very well equipped squad, I think. And maybe that's what makes having £23 million to go and spend on top of it the most exciting part. Heading into the Premier League, I'm now officially not expecting to win the league this year. Although technically we didn't win the league this year, did we? We finished second. This, though, I do think is where things are going to level out a little bit. This might just be with the money on offer of the other teams. The thing that we've had as our advantage was being able to sign the best players for cheap. In the Premier League, all of the clubs in the league have massive money and they do sign brilliant footballers of really high ability. So if there was ever going to be some leveling off, some plateauing of the save, this is probably going to be that point. So let's temper the expectations a little bit, but we are going to go through in today's video and play our first season in the Premier League. First of all, though, I need to go and get busy in the transfer market to try and prepare us and to spend 20 odd million pounds, which is it's pretty exciting. I'll see you after I've done some business. And here then is that business. Let's start with the outgoings. And yes, I've been very busy. We have brought in sales to the value of £21 million. It is a really strong amount of money brought into the club. And maybe this is why the board were comfortable to give us 20 odd million pounds to go and spend ourselves. And I have spent it. We'll get onto that in a second though. First and foremost though, we have brought in £7.75 million for Shay Lacey. I don't think I even introduced you to Shay Lacey. We signed him on a free transfer after I updated you on our summer transfer business from last season. It was actually one of our current transfer activities. We were already trying to sign him at that point. He came in on a free transfer. He did play a fair few games. You probably saw him on the list of players. He started 23 times in the league and was a sub for loads of those games, but performed really well for us. And now Wrexham in the Championship have just spent nearly £8 million to buy him. It's by far our record sale in the club's history. And I should mention as well, this is higher than Hereford have ever been. Even in the old version of the club, Hereford United, I think it was League One, the highest they ever got to. We're now in the Premier League with Hereford, which is really cool as my local team. Shay Lacey out for £7.75 million. Magnus Dalpiaz to Cologne back to Germany for £5 million. We have sold Kamari Doyle for £3.4 million. There will be some pretty sad sales, I think, coming through at this stage here. Kamari Doyle, I'm just not sure was going to be good enough to play in the Premier League, despite him being a true hero of our save here. 3 seasons with us, 15 goals, 16 goals, 17 goals. He was a brilliant performer in the Championship even last season, but Watford have got relegated to League One and have given us £3.4 million for him, and I just couldn't really say no, especially when you see some of the incoming players. I don't think there was going to be a spot for him in the team, and it was kind of just good money for us, especially good money to be able to go and reinvest in other signings. It's a very similar story actually with Brahim Palacios, who we've sold to Venezia for £2.7 million. He was one of our right wingers. Usman Kane has gone to Real Zaragoza. Travis Akamir has gone to Lech Poznan for 250k, and then the others for not too much money. Niang has gone to Leganés in Spain. Patrick de Paula, we saw that before. It was a free transfer at the end of his contract, has gone to Ava, and then a few loans going out. Some of these young players to try and give them a little bit of first team experience. Nemanja Milutinovic, very highly rated. He's going to go and play some football for Wickham this season. Let's move through to the signings coming in then, and there are once again a lot. 12 signings this year. The most expensive, we have spent £14 million on a player. Is it a brilliant Brazilian new gen? No, it's Jacob Greaves from Ipswich. Premier League experience, 29 years old. And so it's not the most exciting of signings to be our record transfer ever, but it sort of is just solid, isn't it? He's 6'4", he's quick, he's good in the air, he's strong in defence, he's good in the tackle. He's going to come in and shore up our defence quite a lot. And for all of those reasons, I think he's then worth that £14 million, even if it isn't the most sexy of signings. Sorry, Jacob. We have, though, made some exciting signings. Let's go through them. Moritz Vorline from Gladbach is another new gen, and have a look at this guy to come in and play in our midfield. Moritz Vorline, I'm sure he's going to play for Germany at some point in this save. Brilliant physicals, brilliant mentals, decent technicals, great technique, 15 in there. He is only 20 years old and could still improve a lot. An Argentinian called Federico Tarabini has come in to play as a defensive midfielder, perhaps alongside Moritz in our midfield. He cost £7 million from Newell's Old Boys. This one I'm really excited about. Jun Matsuo from Vissel Kobe to come in as a number 10 option, a Japanese international footballer with great flair, brilliant dribbling, amazing finishing, fantastic technique, as well as very decent physicals too, good acceleration and pace. We are going to need to work out how we're going to fit him in, because we've got some really good players who can play in that number 10 position, but maybe shifting one of those wide and using Matsuo as our number 10 might be the plan. I will show you how we're going to set up for this Premier League season after this. But then there are a few more players, lots of these ones though much cheaper. Daniel Altroga is a striker option who costs us only about £2 million. And again, I'm very worried that Batista might not be our starting striker for too long. This guy's only 20 and has got 17 finishing. Brilliant anticipation, brilliant composure, brilliant off the ball. And then to finish off some cheaper signings, we've got Boštjan Ribic. No, that was not a frog. That was me saying his name. He's another striker option. Andres Bustos, a centre-back option. 6'6" is Bustos, so that's why I've signed him. Issa Freem is a left-back, Northern Irish. And then Dalton Henry is going to be our backup goalkeeper. This guy I might just refer to as Brynjar in the future. Brynjar Por Arfinsson is an attacking midfielder from Iceland. We've signed him from an Icelandic team for 250k. And then I've also brought in Christian Walton, another player, goalkeeper with Premier League experience, to come in and just be an option at the back for us. He was super cheap at 77k. And then finally, a free agent signing, and a very impressive one if you ask me. Valentin Carboni. I really like him. I've really liked him in past FMs too. He's an Argentinian international that I actually look at his attributes and think he's maybe not as good as some of the other options we've got, but he's definitely going to have a decent value. Maybe we could even flip him for a decent amount in the future, and if not, he's still a really good option to have in our squad. Those are the signings, and this is something like how we're going to set up for this season. We are going to go with Matsuo as our number 10, and I'm going to move Kuban Afakan to the right hand side and use him as an inside forward. I'm not sure it's necessarily his best position, but I do want to make sure he's in the team because I think he's got a load of potential to be a really good player in the future. Whether he'll stay there, I'm not quite sure, because we do have our Croatians on this right hand side if we need to. Still in the team though, I'm still going to go with Batista as our striker with Juve on the left-hand side, although I am very worried about Batista's spot. Daniel Altroga could well take his spot as our main striker. I can see that happening. And then in our midfield, we're going to go Tarabini and Pervcic. Pervcic played a lot of games last season, although he too could well have his place taken by Vorlin, the German that we brought in the summer, who I really like. And then at the back, we're going to have Bustos, the 6'6" defender, alongside Jacob Greaves. Maidak continues at right back. The new signing Freem from Northern Ireland at left back, and our young keeper Andrew Lewis in goal. That's the team that I'm hoping can keep us in the Premier League, where we are predicted to finish rock bottom. We are 1,000 to 1 to stay in this league. And this is a reflection of the current ability of our players. I think the potential ability of our players might well be massive, but right now they are still super young, barring a couple of them. Jacob Greaves, I'm looking at you. This could end up being a little bit of a tricky one. However, I always back myself to outperform the media predictions. And my aim, being deadly serious, is to try and finish mid-table this season. I genuinely do think we can finish there. Although I will also say I can still envisage a really difficult season where if things start to go wrong and the morale gets really bad, you can then definitely start to struggle. I just hope that that doesn't happen. Mid-table finish this year, solidify our place in the Premier League is absolutely fine, and it does very much keep us on schedule. That's the aim. I'm going to go and play some games now. I'll be back in January, hopefully with a positive update. And here it is, January the 1st, and this is indeed a positive update. We are 9th in the league after 18 games, at exactly the halfway point of our first ever Premier League season. We have picked up 8 wins from our 18. It's not outrageous, but it is also very impressive. We have beaten Manchester United. We've beaten Arsenal away from home. We've beaten Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, Birmingham in consecutive games there. For some reason, we've beaten all of the Bs this season. We've only drawn 1 game, but we have lost 9 of our 18. So we're losing half of our games this season, but that's going to be enough to get us to finish in about mid-table, and that's very much the aim. We've lost to Southampton, we lost to City, we lost to Liverpool. You'd maybe expect that, wouldn't you? But overall, I am super happy with the start that we have made here. If we can replicate this in the second half of the season, we'll finish on about 50 points. And 50 points was enough to finish 11th last season. That's where Villa finished last season, with those 50 points. And I'd be delighted with that, in all honesty. Although I must now share with you some slightly sadder news. One thing that I have very quickly noticed this year is that Batista may not be up for it in the Premier League. I did say he was going to score Premier League goals for us. He hasn't yet. He has only played 3 games, though, 2 off the bench. I'm going to try and involve him just for my own sense of narrative, really. I'd really like it if Batista, the star man for so many years, if he could score a Premier League goal. But he doesn't really look up for it. And in fact, Altroga, who came in to replace him, is way better. 10 starts for Altroga, 6 goals already this season. It's obviously more difficult to come across goals in the Premier League. And to be honest, watching those first 2 games, Batista just looked completely out of his depth. So it might be a bit of a charity case at this stage to try and get him his Premier League goal, but I am going to go and try and do that. Other players are performing well. We've made the most of set pieces, with Jacob Greaves scoring 3 of them from left-sided centre-back. Our keeper, Andrew Lewis, has looked very comfortable at this level, despite being so young, which is really promising. And Juve on the left-hand side has set up 5 goals, whereas on the right-hand side, we've brought in Ali Begovic again, one of our Croatians, who scored 5 and set up 4 at the start of this season. He's made this spot his own, although it wasn't necessarily the plan at the start of the season. I've also been using the Icelandic Arne Finsen as our number 10 rather than Matsuo. Despite having really high hopes for Matsuo, it hasn't really happened for him in our number 10 spot, and he's actually already unhappy because he hasn't started enough games. Similarly with Kuban Afakan, the Turkish player, I've tried to use him a lot. He's made 2 starts but 14 sub appearances. Again, Premier League just being that big jump up. Maybe these guys, in terms of their current ability, aren't quite on the level yet, but they are so young that maybe with a few more years of development, they can be. It isn't the end of the world, though, because at this stage, it looks like staying away from relegation should be pretty comfortable. We need another 15 points to get to that magic 40-point mark, and I think we should definitely be able to get there. I did also make 1 extra signing at the end of that transfer window as well, after I last updated you. That was the signing of Nordi Mukiele from Sunderland for £1 million, and he started 6 games, lots of games off the bench too. Yet again, a bit more experience coming into our team there, and he's a really good player and has performed pretty well for us so far. That is the update at the halfway point. I am now going to go and finish this season. I'm very much just hoping it is more of the same, and I can report back in May having finished in 9th, 10th, 11th. Even if we finish 14th, I think I'd be absolutely okay with that, as long as we can stay well away from that relegation zone. Let's go see what we can do, and I'll be back in May. And the same again is exactly what we did manage to... In fact, I tell a lie. We ended up having a slightly better second half of the season than our first half of the season. We finished 8th in the Premier League. We've finished on 62 points, just below Newcastle, Manchester United, Arsenal, Villa. City are the champions, but we finished in the top half in our first season in the Premier League. It is a phenomenal start, made only better by the small fact that I've actually gone through May to go and make sure all of the European finals have been played to see whether we were going to get Europe. And guess what? we have. Because of who won the other European competitions, we've actually qualified for the Conference League next season, and Hereford are going on a European adventure. This could actually genuinely be massive. Thinking about the reputation of the player that we'll be able to sign, it might just be that a little bit higher now that we're in European football. Again, this is a massive overachievement, but it goes to show what is possible if you're really super aggressive in the transfer window and you really go for it. Because despite all of those signings that we've made, we've now got £82 million in the bank through the Premier League money, and the board have given us 68 million to go and spend next season. I told you, once you get to the Premier League, the money, it just sorts itself out, and we are going to go crazy in this next transfer window because we have got a Champions League to go and win. Next season, I want to qualify for the Champions League. I want to win the Conference League as well. And we are heading into season number 7, and despite all of the progress we've made, we have only got 4 seasons to get from here to Champions League winners. We couldn't have got to this point any quicker, and yet the pressure is still very much on to actually achieve our aims in this save. This, though, on the cusp of an absolute transfer war chest, is where we're going to leave it today. Hereford FC are in Europe. Hereford FC are Premier League. Hereford FC are en route to winning the Champions League, and I'm going to go transfer crazy, and that's where we'll pick it up in the next video. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. A lot of success. I do feel like I'm setting myself up to fail a lot here, and maybe that will happen. But now the serious business begins. Heading into season number 7, time is running out to complete my challenge within the 10 season limit that I've set myself. Can we actually win the Champions League with Hereford? All right, we pick things up here then, having just finished last season at the end of season number 6 in our challenge. We finished 8th with Hereford. It was our first season in the Premier League, and we've continued to exceed all expectations. We finished on 62 points, having just lost 14 games of our 38. We were predicted to finish bottom, remember, and we finished in the top half. Not only did we finish in the top half, but we're going on a European adventure. That is right, we qualified through the league for the Europa Conference League. Now, the journey so far has been absolutely superb, hasn't it? We have risen up from the National League North all the way up through the leagues at the first time of asking. We've won most of those leagues and gone up once through the playoffs and once having finished 2nd in the league. A real clinic in how to maximize everything in Football Manager. However, I am getting a little bit nervous that I am just setting us up to ultimately fail at the end. How upsetting would that be in part 3, video 3, that we'd actually ultimately fail? But if that is the case, that will be the case. And today we're going to find out. I'm going to get us up now to the end of season number 10, where if we've won the Champions League in that time, we will have succeeded. But if we have not, we will have failed. And I'm going to buy one of you guys that subscribes tickets to go and watch your local team play. Now, we will once again begin with transfer business. We were given a pretty hefty transfer budget once again, and I also bolstered it massively through sales. So let's start with the players that I have sold, and let's begin with a very sad departure as we wave goodbye finally to Batista Farias. He's gone back to his homeland in Argentina, and he signed for Newell's Old Boys for a relatively small price of 350k. We never did get him that Premier League goal. That is a little bit of a sad one, and I'm sure loads of you noticed that and put it in the comments from the last video. You know me, I do really like to lean into the narrative of a Football Manager save, but with the time restriction in place for this one, there's very little leeway to lean into these things. So he didn't get his goal, although he did get an assist, and maybe we can cling on to that as a moment. He had his moment in the Premier League, maybe. That sale did only raise us 350k, but elsewhere, we were able to sell players to total up to £60 million. £15.5 million came from the sale of Boštjan Ribic. Once again, no, there is not a frog in my room as I record this. That was his name. He's now moved on to Getafe, where he's actually valued at £48 million there. So we might regret this one, but I don't really think we will. We've got really good strikers in place, and also I've made some new signings, which we'll come on to in a second. He's moved on for £15 million. I've also sold Nemanja Milutinovic. He's gone to Inter Milan. Cuban African, I had high hopes for this man. Ultimately, it's probably his physicals that let him down a little bit, and he's also fallen victim to our ability to go and sign new players now that we're a European Premier League team. So he's moved on back to Turkey with Trabzonspor. I've also sold the other number 10 prospect that we had, which was Jun Matsuo. He's gone to Sheffield United for just under £10 million. And then the rest of the sales are a lot less in value. Alisson Fires moved to Spain, Jerome Clark to Luton, Ryan Giles has gone to Las Palmas. £60 million though, on top of what we were already given as a European football team, has allowed me to make these signings for season number 7. Let's get into them, as I've spent £58 million. So nothing crazy here. We've actually turned a profit over the course of the summer, but we've been able to sign players, a record signing of £16 million. Hereford FC making signings of players north of 15 million is pretty wild, and I'm sure it's going to happen even more as we move through these seasons, as we chase down the Champions League. First up there, we have signed William Wahongo. He is a right back who is 21 years old, homegrown from England with great physicals. £12 million, Stephen O'Neill, kind of continuing the strategy that we started doing in the last episode, where we're just going to sign a load of new gens for relatively cheap prices that we can definitely either develop into great players or sell for a profit down the line, which is what we've done with some of the sales that we've made this summer. Stephen O'Neill is going to come in and play in our midfield. Alex Carnahan, another Englishman. He's joined from Fulham, 2 players from Fulham there, both for £12.5 million. James French is a striker option. Nicky Shamshun from Reading is a goalkeeper, 6'4". We've got 2 really good keepers there, both English as well, which is really nice, isn't it? And then a few more that cost money, and then a couple of free transfer signings. Giancarlo Carvajal is a left back who can also play left wing. Look at the physicals on this guy. 17 acceleration, 15 agility. He's going to be a left back option for us. And then Daniel Mosquera from Atletico Nacional, and Carl Moore, another young Englishman, to come in and play centre back, or be an option for us at centre back. Free transfer signings, Josh Doig is a slightly younger version of Ryan Giles and slightly better version. We've signed him, and he was most recently at Sassuolo. And finally, another free transfer signing, Kieran McClune, can play in midfield or in defence. He's 6'5". He was formerly of Arsenal, with a lot of room still to grow as well. Those are our signings that mean heading into this 7th season, our system now looks like this. We're going to continue with the 4-2-3-1, with Andrew Lewis continuing in goal, even though we now have Shamshun as a really good option. Wahongo at right back is a new signing. Josh Doig coming in on that free is a new signing. Warleen, I think, is going to be our starting midfielder now, the young German, alongside the Argentinian Tarabini. With Carnahan on the left-hand side, new signing. And now Al Trogger is very much our first choice striker. He's improving a lot, by the way. To mention as well, Carnahan is starting on this left-hand side because Amara Diouf is currently injured. Is there any reason why we can't go even higher this year? I don't think so. We're going to aim for it anyway. We're going to go play some games now, and I'm going to come back in January with an update, and we'll continue this cycle. I'll also be able to update you on our European adventures in the Conference League. Before I do come back, actually, this feels like a good time to say thank you for joining me on this journey. I do hope you've enjoyed it, the 3 videos rather than one super long one. And if you have enjoyed it, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel. All of these things are just positive metrics, giving me feedback, telling me what you guys like, and informing what we do in the future on the channel, because I hope you can see it. I just want to have fun playing Football Manager and hopefully entertaining you guys. I guess what I'm trying to say is thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe. Right, so I'm now back in February, and I'm back a little bit later because there's a lot to update you on. The first thing is we're 15th in the league. This is second season syndrome and then some. We're in a little bit of trouble here. I don't think we're going to get relegated, but for the first time in this entire journey so far, we have been struggling a little bit. I said, is there anything that can stop us from going even better this season? Turns out playing in Europe with a really small squad where the backup players are League One quality, that will stop you from going higher. We've had a bit of a nightmare. We've actually only won 6 games in this season so far. We have beaten West Ham, Villa, Millwall, Middlesbrough, Forest, Sunderland, which if you look at the table are the teams that are generally around us. We're on 27 points with a game in hand, with Southampton occupying that 3rd relegation spot on 18 points. So a nice 9-point cushion means that I'm not actually worried about this with 14 games to go. We're just really kind of lucky that there are at least 4 or 5 teams that are definitely worse. Otherwise, this could be a very premature end to the journey if we ended up getting relegated and then sacked. However, that's not going to happen. And actually elsewhere, there are much more positive things happening. First up, we are still in the FA Cup. We've beaten Charlton in the 3rd round. We're going through to the 4th round of the FA Cup, and we have successfully navigated the Europa Conference League phase. 6 games played, 4 wins, 2 draws, 0 losses. We are safely through, not to the playoff round, which we will skip straight past, but to the round of 16, which is yet to be drawn. So with all of this happening, I've decided to use January, which is why I'm coming back in February. I've decided to use January as a time to really try to strengthen. In the summer, I showed you that we'd actually turned a very small profit, which meant that we had loads of money left over to spend. I've now spent it. And I really do mean it when I say that, because now that January is over, we have now spent £172 million. I am not allowing this team to get relegated, and the sensible transfer version of me is now gone. I am Pep Guardiolaing myself out of this situation. We've brought in a load of really, really good players in through the doors in January, and actually I have raised a lot of money through sales as well, so don't panic too much about this massive spending. I'll show you the sales in a second, but in through the door comes Lucas Moraz. He signed the contract and said, I'm yours. And he's 6'8" with 20 jumping reach. So I don't really need to say anything else about him. But the next signing, I think, could be the biggest game changer yet. He has cost us a record, a mammoth, £35 million. And his name is Johnny Singer. He's English, he's got a little moustache, and he is an insane striker. We've signed him from Leicester City, and he's got 17 acceleration, 16 pace, 13 finishing, but 18 dribbling, which I really do like on a striker. Great composure, great off the ball, brilliant work rate, fantastic technique. This guy, Johnny Singer, is the game changer in our attack. Altroga was great. He scored some goals, but this guy's just another level, and that's why I've spent £35 million on him. And that on the 3rd of Jan was our record signing, only to be beaten 5 days later. Before that, I signed Jose from Vasco da Gama in Brazil, a 6'3" centre-back. But on that same day, we broke our transfer record for a second time, bringing in Mohamed Sanoun. Mohamed Sanoun is going to be the proper number 10. We've tried a few. We've had Matsua, we've had Afakan. Now, though, Mohamed Sanoun. Brilliant pace and acceleration, amazing passing technique, fantastic vision, great determination to improve too. He's only 20. Him and Singer, I'm hoping, are going to be the glorious combination in our attack to score us as many goals as we possibly need. And then there was a couple more signings after that. Great name klaxon next here. Klingeth Livingston from Colo Colo, a Chilean midfielder, all-action midfielder. He's like Arturo Vidal, and he's only 19 as well. He is fantastic. Abdul Salam Jackson is another striker option who's also brilliant, but probably won't be a starter. And finally, Tasai Asahina is another midfield option signed from Manchester United, a Japanese international signed for £12 million. These signings are going to elevate us massively. At least I really hope so, because if it doesn't, we could be in a bit of trouble. Although saying that, we have actually got £70 million odds still to go and spend if we wanted to, because we did sell a load of players in January as well. And those players are Moritz Vorline in our midfield for £14 million. Altroga, the striker, has gone for £15 million to be replaced now by Singer. We've loaned out Carvajal. We've sold Andres Bustos, the big centre-back, as well as big sales of Tarabini, one of our midfielders, to Alcadzia for £18 million, and Carboni for £12 million, who's gone to Talares in Argentina. January is usually pretty quiet for me, but in the situation that we were in, it felt like it was necessary. So I've decided to roll the dice and go big in this Jan and hope it improves our circumstances in the league. It's going to be a real shame if we don't get back into Europe for next year, although there is, of course, the possibility that we could still go and win the Conference League, which would put us into the Europa League. That is kind of what I'm aiming for, alongside a morale-boosting good run of form to finish us hopefully mid-table. We're not cut off from mid-table. We're only 6 points off 10th here, 9 points off 9th. If we could get ourselves back into proper mid-table territory, that would be a success, and it should also give us the momentum to take in to season number 8. Season number 8, I'm saying it. We've given ourselves 10 seasons, and we're 6 months away from starting season 8, and we're 15th in the Premier League. This is going to be so difficult to actually complete in the time. But I'm now going to go and finish this season. I'll be back at the end to tell you how we've done, hopefully, to celebrate a Conference League victory with you. I think we could beat any and all of these teams should it come down to a knockout game with them. I'd actually make us favourites to go and win this. So hopefully, at the end of the season, I'll be back to report that we are indeed a European champion. And we are! Hereford FC are Europa Conference League winners this season, and we will be playing in Europe next year. It's a brilliant save for what ultimately would have been a really disappointing season, but a 4-3 victory in the final against Viking of Norway has given us brilliant European silverware. But it did take extra time in this one, even though we got off to an absolute flyer. Goals from Blankenberg, followed up by a goal from Livingston, made it 2-0 on 71 minutes, but we almost bottled it, and Viking came storming back, scoring on 77-81 to take it to extra time before taking the lead, completing the turnaround right at the beginning of the extra time period. We were staring down the barrel of defeat, but Thompson was our hero on the night. He scored on 96 to equalise to make it 3-3. And then Amara Diouf set him up right on the stroke of extra time half time to put us 4-3 in front. And we managed to hold on to collect the trophy. European Conference League winners and qualified for the Europa League next season. Something we wouldn't have done if it was down to our league form, because ultimately we finished our Premier League season in 12th. It's our first ever regression. We finished 8th last season and we've dropped down to 12th this. Last year, we managed to get 62 points last season. This year, even with all the new signings in January, we finished on 45. There are teams that have finished very close to that 45-point mark and still been relegated. Although this year, we were well clear of that potential threat. It was Southampton, Middlesbrough and Millwall who went down. Millwall only got 16 points. Southampton went down on 25. So we were 20 points clear of the relegation zones. Never really in trouble in that regard. And we did manage to climb up the league and finish closer to that mid-table that I was aiming for. And the learning from this list of teams is that we very much did struggle to beat teams that you'd classify as being better than us. We beat the teams around us, West Ham, Villa, Millwall, Middlesbrough, etc. But we did struggle against the other teams. We picked up some good draws. On the final day, we did draw with City. We also drew to Chelsea and Manchester United. But the 15 defeats were mainly against those teams that finished in the top half towards the top of the table. We lost to City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Spurs, who finished second there. What it tells me is that there is actually a lot still to do here, even though the signings that we made in January were a big help. To show you the stats of the players here, the big star performer was on our right-hand side. Jonah Alibegovic scored 30 goals from right wing. He was our right inside forward, really picking up the mantle that was left through the sale of Batista. He scored most of our goals this season, even picked up 10 assists as well. 7.2 average rating from him, brilliant. But that is season 7 in the books. We finished 12th, but we have qualified for the Europa League through winning the Conference League. And this again might just boost our reputation that little bit more, hopefully attracting even better players. And speaking of signing players, we've been given our initial budgets and they're pretty mammoth. £91 million we've been given to go and spend, as well as £475,000 available in wages. I'm telling you, getting to the Premier League just gives you outrageous money to go and spend. Let's go do some transfers. Let's go and get ourselves ready to try and properly make a dent in this Premier League. And I guess try and win the Europa League as well. It's transfers time. So I have indeed gone pretty big in the transfer window. However, I've actually signed less people than usual. Only 6 new signings coming in through the door, but I've spent big on all of them. This is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make our first 11 as good as any team in the Premier League so that we can actually go and compete against the top teams. Let's go from the cheapest to the most expensive first. And I will also show you that we have spent £177 million, but have sold players for £121 million. Carlos Martinez has arrived from Gladbach. We have signed Geronimo Russo, a goalkeeper from Argentina. He joins from San Lorenzo for £10 million. And then we move through to the big bucks. £38.5 million for an Englishman by the name of John Wilson. England international with outrageous attributes. We've put him on £180,000 a week. But this guy could be a true general for us in that midfield. A proper number 6. And then we rounded off with 3 £40 million signings. Josh King, the youngster who plays for Fulham. And then rounding off with Francisco Rodriguez, a Mexican centre-back, 6'6". And then finally, Josh Rothwell, another Englishman, left-back, who's going to come in and probably take the place from Josh Doig this summer. And here are the outgoings. Now, a big one to begin with, and one that I think you're going to be sad about, because I'm sad about. We have sold Amara Diouf to Norwich. He is and has been phenomenal for us. He has been a true hero. We signed him way back. What league was it? Was it League 2 that we signed Amara Diouf in? League 1 for £160,000. But his contributions and output has really declined in the past couple of seasons. Once we've got to the Premier League, as much as we love him, there is again no room for sentiment really. We need to push through because we've only got this season and then the next 2 seasons to try and win the Champions League, something we're not even qualified for yet. So £44.5 million was too good to turn down, so I've sold him, as well as Pervsic to Al Ahly. Jacob Greaves, a real solid defender for us, has gone to Al Tawoun, alongside another centre-back that's moved on in Silas Blankenberg. We did also sell Issa Freem, who hasn't been used at left-back for a while now, for £3.8 million, and that completes the business for this summer, where the squad now looks something like this. Russo is our new goalkeeper. We're going to go with Jose as the right side to centre-back alongside Rodriguez. Rothwell is the left-back. Wahongo continues as the right-back. The new general, John Wilson, as one of our defensive midfielders alongside Livingston, who was here last year. Ali Begovic, the top goal scorer from last season, continues on the right. With Carnahan on the left now, he's the new starter in place of Amara Diouf. And then Josh King in behind Singer. Now, Josh King, it might not end up being him most of the time because I do kind of still want to work on this relationship, bringing Sanoun back in, but Sanoun is currently still injured as we're about to kick off our Premier League season. So it'll probably look like this, actually, in terms of a first 11 for this year. And am I being crazy to think that this team can go and challenge at the very top now? These players on the bench are superb. Look how good Carlos Martinez is, and he's our third choice centre-back. Likewise, Lucas Moraz is a fourth choice centre-back. Josh Doig as the backup left-back. Asahina as a midfield option. These players are super footballers, and they're not in our first team squad. I think this all points towards the idea that this might be the season that we make a bit of a jump. I think we can go and challenge for a Europa League spot, Champions League spot, maybe even for the title this season. And I also, now that we're in the Europa League, I want to aim to go and try and win the Europa League, because even if we don't qualify through the league, I want to qualify for the Champions League next year. Next season, a reminder, is season number 9. If we're not in the Champions League next year, that means that we have to go and win the Champions League in our final season, season number 10. I do not want to get to a situation where we've got a one-season shot at winning this Champions League. That would be terrifying, because we know that anything can happen. You can just lose at any point. I want to go and get ourselves into the Champions League at the end of this season. And so I'm going to go and fly through this season and come back at the end with hopefully some big news. And well, does the news get any bigger than this? We are Premier League champions. We've had an outrageous season. Now, apologies for skimming and flying through this so quickly, but at the end of the day, this isn't the ultimate aim of this save. We have to go and win the Champions League on top of this, but we're Premier League champions. We've gone from the National League North to Champions of England. And it was an unlikely one because we beat Liverpool 3-0. Ali Begovic, Sanoun and Josh King with the goals here at the Hereford Stadium. We have now moved into our new stadium, but Chelsea lost to City on that final day 2-0 at home, meaning we could sneak in and win it on 81 points. It is a relatively low points total to win the Premier League, but we do not mind one jot because we are champions of England. Those signings in the summer made an enormous difference, and the players that we already have having an extra couple of years of development, they've become world-class players. And the good news, well, it doesn't end there, because we are also Europa League champions as well. We have beaten Osasuna in the final of this competition, and so we would have qualified for the Champions League even if we hadn't finished in the top 4 or top 5. And it was once again Jonah Ali Begovic who was the hero. It was a nice run to the final, if we're going to be honest. Osasuna is a nice team to face in the final, but we are a European champion for a second consecutive season, and going into season number 9, we're in the Champions League for the first time. And I'm genuinely looking at these players. I think we've just got players now that are good enough at this level, and it just clicked this year. Ali Begovic is a player that should be playing and winning Champions League for how good he actually is at 22 years old, and only going to get better as well. He scored on 38, then on 59. They got a goal back, but we lifted the trophy. Conference League winners, Europa League winners. Now we're in the Champions League, and now with a massive budget of 80 million to go and spend again for next season, I think to maybe just bring in 1 or 2 extra bits of quality. This is where we now push on. This is now where we turn Hereford FC into the elite club in Europe. This then is my season 9 transfer business. Really quickly, I think I'm going to fly through this season unless we get, of course, to the latter stages of the Champions League. I'm hoping we can retain our Premier League trophy. That'd be lovely. But also just see how we do in the Champions League this year with a one final push to try and win it next year. Now, obviously, I will try and win it this year. And if we do get to the latter stages, we will go and play through them together. Now that this window is complete, we've only got 3 transfer windows left to try and make the team the best that it can be before this final push to try and win that Champions League trophy. These are the players, just 5 of them, that I've brought in for season 9. Let's start with the most expensive, our new record signing, Nikhil Chouhan, who is a Frenchman who plays just behind the strikers. We're going to use him in that Sanoun slot, just in the midfield, the furthest forward midfielder. But look at this guy right here, 6'6" of pure brilliant, unadulterated midfielder. The idea that he's 6'6" with 8 heading is a bit disappointing, but he doesn't let you down anywhere else. This is a unicorn of a footballer, and I really think he's one that elevates us to an even higher level. We've also signed a new midfielder who I think I'm going to convert to a natural right or left left winger. Probably right wing because he's left-footed, but he can play in the midfield too. Ethan Etherson is going to come in and play in our midfield. He's only 22, but he's actually already got 44 caps for Scotland, which is very impressive. And then the final two, the cheapest of them all, we've got a brilliant backup striker in Arnal Villajoana. And then finally, we've signed Kawain Butler as a right back option. These guys will improve us. I have also raised some money and sold some players that I didn't think we're going to need or use as much. We have sold Asahina for 44 million to Arsenal. We've also sold Mosquera, McClune, Andrew Lewis. I am really sad to see him go, but Russo's replaced him as our goalkeeper now. We've also sold Carvajal after his loan last year and Stephen O'Neill for £7.5 million and loaned out a few as well. That means that the squad now looks like this. Singer will continue as our striker. Shuhan comes in as the number 10 role in our team. And of course, Sanoon's come in and be the option instead of Shuhan in that number 10 spot. Wilson is the dominant defensive midfielder. And then we've got Rothwell, Rodriguez, Josie, Wahongo and Russo and the rest of that defense. And that defense is the same as last season. I'm going to go and play our 9th season now. I'm going to go and try and win the Champions League. I'd love to win some other silverware too, but I'm going to come back either at the end of the season if we've been knocked out relatively early, or I'll be back to go and play some knockout games, which we'll do as live comms if we get to that situation. I'll see you though once I've gone and played a load of games. Okay, season 9 in the books, and it has gone basically as I expected it to. I am a bit disappointed and, dare I say it, a little bit worried based on this season. These are our final fixtures of the season, and you will notice a couple of things. The first of which is that we did not win the Champions League. We got to the round of 16 where we beat Atletico Madrid away from home. Carnahan scored the opening goal in that one, but then lost to them 4-2 at home for the first time coming up against serious Champions League quality in a knockout game. And they destroyed us at home. And I say at home, it's actually at Ashton Gate because we were moved out of our Hereford stadium this season because they're expanding it. Hopefully we'll be back into it for our final season, season number 10. But this was a bit of a learning curve here at Ashton Gate. We were 1-0 up. They then roared back with 3 goals to go 3-1 up on the night. We then got a goal to make it 3-3 through Einskar. But Ekitike, who plays for Atletico Madrid in this save, scored the winner on 78. It was 4-3 on aggregate, and that spelled the end of our very first Champions League campaign. The rest of the campaign was really good. If I show you the other stages, we went through the league phase in the top 8, skipping past that playoff round by winning 6 of our 8 games. We beat Celtic, Red Star, Atletico, Rennes, Stuttgart and Juventus. We beat Juventus. We're a good football team. We beat Atletico even in the league phase. We did lose, though, to Milan and Barcelona. Again, these proper European giants are where we still need to try and improve. Now, I talked about being a bit worried going into our final season, and that's because we actually didn't win the league this season. We have finished second, 2 points off the top, and the champions, which were Manchester United. We finished on 78 points, only 3 off our points total from last year. So it's very much continuing the same. And I think a lot of this is also because we have had to play in the Champions League against these brilliant teams. There is no let up, as well as going our furthest in the FA Cup as well. We got to the FA Cup semi-final this year. Didn't manage to win it. We lost to Newcastle in that semi, losing 4-1 at Wembley. Real disappointment, that one. But we did actually win the Carabao Cup with a penalties win against Chelsea. So I think it was probably trying to compete on 4 fronts that did for us in the end, that meant that we didn't win the league and then couldn't really compete any further than this round of 16 in the Champions League. But it does at the very least set us up very nicely for our final season of the save. It is a 1-season shootout to win the Champions League, or I fail this challenge. Remember, if I fail the challenge, I'm buying one of you guys tickets to go and watch your local team. And the way that's going to work, by the way, is that if I do fail this, you need to comment down below who your local team is. I'll go and put all of those comments into a bit of a draw out the winner, and then reply to whoever that winner is and arrange how we're going to get the tickets across to you. Back to matters at hand, though. This now becomes our most important transfer window ever. And I must say thank you to the board, because we've been given a hell of a budget. 136 million to go and spend, 450,000 in wages. It is time to do my final scouring of the globe to find the best possible players to improve this team here to take us to hopefully Champions League glory next season. The way that we're going to do it is I'm going to show you who I buy in this summer transfer window. I'm then going to get through to the knockout stages of the Champions League. If we're still in it, we're then going to go and play those games as live comms. If we win them, brilliant. If we lose them, that's when the video will end. Proper jeopardy on it, but before that, let's go and do our final transfers of the save. So here then is our final summer transfer window of our save, our final season of the save commences now, and I've gone big. You'd expect me to, wouldn't you? £236 million spent, with a little bit left in the tank in case we want to use it in January. If we really feel like there's a lacking area of the squad, I wanted to leave a little bit in case I wanted to just fill that spot in January. But £236 million is nothing to be sniffed at anyway, although I did raise £168 million through sales. Let's quickly go through the sales, as Klingeth Livingston has gone to Saudi, Carlos Martinez to Arsenal for about £90 million combined. Jonah Alibegovic has moved on. He was less involved last season, just 12 starts, after Jack Gregory took his place in the squad. But another brilliant servant for us in this save, and a massive profit on him in the end after he joined us in the Championship for under 300k. Loads of goals. 79 goals then in the end, so it's a fond farewell to Jonah Alibegovic. We also sold Einscar and Lucas Moraz, but we have brought in these 4 players. We'll start with the cheapest, with it being £41 million, and we have once again broken our transfer record. But we'll start down here with Leandre Kalisa, who is going to be a centre-back option. Kalisa is a Netherlands international, 22 years old. We have then signed, I think this guy's going to be a game changer for us. We've been lacking a little bit, a superstar left winger. I think Giancarlo Mertens. He's going to start on our left-hand side, cutting in on his favoured right foot, and he has joined us from Napoli. There's a Mertens that was playing at Napoli. I quite like that. And then 2 massive ones to finish off. Ahmed Assai is listed as one of our key players straight off the bat. French international is going to be another midfield general for us. A midfielder with 18 finishing is really cool. And 18 first touch, 16 long shots. That could be quite fun with 19 technique. Expect pile drivers from this man. And then finally, our record ever signing is a right winger called Jordan Gotan. Gotan's going to play on the right hand side, cutting in on his left foot. Another worldie for us, and he comes in to make up our squad that now will look something like this. We're going to go with Singer as our main striker, and we're going to adapt the system for this year to try and make the most of the players that we've got, to try and take the game as much as possible to our opponents. It's almost a throwback to the way that we started this save way back in the National League North, but not quite. I've called it the 2-3-2-2-1 push it to the limit, because that's what we're going to try and do here. Russo in goal, Rodriguez and Kalisa, new signing at the back. Wilson, the general. I don't know why I keep calling midfielders generals. I think it's because they've got such good attributes. They just feel like generals. Wilson is going to be our deep line playmaker in possession, with Wahongo at right wing back now and Rothwell at left wing back. We're going to have Shuhan a little bit deeper, but he will move forward as the attacking midfielder, with Asai as our advanced playmaker. Gotan on the right, Mertens on the left, both new signings, hopefully supplying Singer, Johnny Singer, with all of the goals that we could possibly want. I think it's a lot of fun with some brilliant players on our bench to come in if we need them. The idea that Sanoun is a backup in our midfield just shows the strength in depth that we now do have with this squad. This squad is actually now good enough to be predicted to finish top of the Premier League, and I think that is a massive indicator of where we've got to with this save now, where we are favourites to go and win the Premier League, and therefore that in turn will make you one of the favourites for the Champions League too. It is time to get into our final season of the save, the final season of the series, and I'm going to come back when and if we get to the Champions League playoffs, and we're going to go and play them as live comms together to finish this off. I'll see you in about April, where we're going to go and finish off this journey, hopefully in a blaze of glory. And indeed, welcome back in April, and as it stands, we are still on for the glorious conclusion to this save. We are in the quarter-final of the Champions League, where we will now play Barcelona. It's not easy. I'm a bit scared that we're about to go and play Barcelona as some live comms here and fail at the quarter-final mark, which isn't close enough for me. I really want to get to at least the final. If we go out in a blaze of glory and lose in the final, that's kind of a nice narrative end. If we lose in the quarters, it's a bit disappointing, isn't it? However, what will be, will be. We are going to go and play Barcelona now, having got through the round of 16 recently against Bayern Munich. We actually won it so comfortably that I was going to come back and do this as a live com. We've won 6-0 on aggregate, 2-0 in the second leg after a 4-0 win in the first leg. And that was after we comfortably went through the league phase, winning 8 out of 8. Now this is, again, now, this shows our credentials going into this quarterfinal. We have played some big teams. We beat Real Madrid. We beat Atletico Madrid. We beat Inter. We beat Viking 9-1, the team that we met in that Conference League final all those years ago now. But now it becomes very serious. It is between us, PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Spurs, Sociedad, Newcastle United. This part of the draw is a lot easier than our half, which is quite terrifying because in the semi-final, we will play the winner of Real Madrid or PSG. Whereas look at the other teams. Look at that. Spurs or Sociedad, Newcastle or United. If we can get through to the final, we become big favourites, especially when you consider that we are top of the league in the Premier League this season. We don't need to worry about that too much right now because right now it's all about these games here. We're going to go and play these Barcelona games home and away as live com games, and you're coming along the journey with me every step of the way. Let's pick a team for the first leg. The first leg is away from home in the Nou Camp. There are a couple of fitness issues. We've got the goalkeeper not being fully fit, Russo, but we are going to go with... And in fact, I'm going to make a change at centre-back. We're going to go with Jose instead of Rodriguez. Rodriguez is not fully fit. He's not ready for a fitness test, so we're not going to risk him. We're going to go Jose and Kalisa as our back two. The rest of the team is about as strong as we can go. Let's get ourselves into this first game, and fingers crossed we can lay down a bit of a marker, get ourselves off to a good first leg, and then the second leg can be nice and comfortable. That probably won't be the case. But let's play some live com games. Let's see if we can finish this save in the best possible way. There are the two teams. They've got Kamada up front. They've got Yamal still at the club. They've got Calafiorian. We, though, Hereford FC, are walking out of the Nou Camp to play Barcelona. And that team there looks beautiful, doesn't it? Singer, our captain, Johnny Singer, leading the line. Let's get ourselves underway. We're kicking off. Go on, lads. Go and do the business first leg. First highlight then here is after 23 minutes. It's taken a very long time to get into any type of proper action here at the Nou Camp, but it's us on the attack with Mertens down the left-hand side, cutting back on his right. He was offside. That was the highlight. 23 minutes, and that's the highlight that we've got. Barcelona have the ball back. Maybe this is where the highlight comes through. Pedri into Bolde. That's not what I like. I liked the way it was developing with Mertens down that side. Now Barcelona with the ball is scary. Pedri into Kamada. I love Francesco Kamada this year as well. Yamal is obviously a threat. It's a save by Russo. It's a corner. We've got away with it. Hopefully that spells the end of that particular highlight. They are going to get to take the corner halfway through this first half of this first leg. They're going to recycle it, but we're going to get it away with Gotan down this right-hand side. And that will be the halftime whistle in what has been a very cagey, low-key affair almost. There's 8 shots for Barca with more possession, 7 shots for us, but 0-0 at the break. Away from home, I've just asked everybody to dig in, because if we can get away from here with a draw, I'd be more than happy with it. Take them back to our place, get a victory there. That has to be the plan, doesn't it? Good tackle. We've won the ball back up high at the pitch here. Johnny Singer's in behind. We've got Mertens at the back post, and we've got the lead in the Nou Camp. We won it back high up the pitch with a big tackle. I think it was Gotan who won it, and we've now managed it. It was Wahongo that won the tackle. Gotan got the ball, plays it over the top for Johnny Singer, and then look at the space for Mertens at the back post, and we could be snatching a massive win away from home here to really put us in the driving seat in this time. Mertens with the finish. We're on 58 minutes. I'm going to make some changes to try and lock this down, I think. Let's see how this highlight goes. This could be the ultimate away performance, really. Asawi into Wilson, into Rothwell. A second goal here might even kill. It might even kill the tie. We've got it back, Mertens. Into Rothwell, into Wilson, into Gotan. It's tidy football. Can we break through? It's very, very narrow. Look how narrow it is over the top from Wahongo. I'm going to make changes to try and lock this game down. With just about 10 minutes left to play, Spurs are winning, PSG are winning, Newcastle are winning, and we're winning away from home. That could be the most significant one yet. 5 to play. Let's do our final change, which is going to be Wahongo off and Butler coming on. Can we see this game out now? There is a highlight. There is a corner for Barcelona now with 4 minutes to play. Pedri swings in, headed away by Butler. Torrent picks it back up. Yamal. Yeah, what a goal that is. He's just drilled it low. It's 1-1. Lamine Yamal. I was really not that worried about that. He's picked it up so far out, look, but he's drilled it in for the equaliser on the night. I thought we were pretty safe here. We've got men pushing up, look, leaving all of these guys offside, and Lamine Yamal just drills it with no backlift along the floor. Should Russo do better? Maybe. It's 1-1. It's not the end of the world. If we get out of here with a draw, I'd be okay with it, but that is a little bit of a narrative shifter from Lamine Yamal, the superstar that he is. Pedri now has the ball. There's 2 minutes to play. Can we see this one through and get away from here on level terms? It's Barcelona in the ascendancy now, though. Yamal's in behind again here. He's got players in the middle. One of them's Kamada. There's an offside check. But I think this is going to be given. Kamada has given Barcelona the lead. Yeah, it's been awarded. It's 2-1 to Barca. And we've managed to throw it away at the end. All I did was make some changes, drop back the wing backs. And Barcelona now have the initiative in the tie. We are going to need to come from behind in the second leg. Koundé has a free kick. Is this going to be the terrible end to what has been the most ridiculously successful climb up the leagues? If they score... Oh my word, it might be over. Morales has scored. We've thrown it away. It's Morales at the near post. It's 3-1. There could even be more. The highlights don't stop. Barcelona have just seized all the initiative. I'm actually going to push us back up to attacking. See if we can go and get another goal in this last 3 minutes here. Otherwise, this could genuinely be the end of it. If we go out in the quarterfinal, I'm going to be so disappointed. But this can happen. This is Barcelona. Their players are brilliant. Their team is amazing. Our players are so good, and yet this is the Champions League. You can just go out at the drop of a hat, can't you? Tweedley then. Down the left-hand side. Over the top towards Mertens. Oh, it's overhit. I'm going to make another change. We're going to push these fullbacks back up. If they score again, it could genuinely be curtains. But if we can get another goal now, taking them back to our place, it's still game on, isn't it? I mean, it could still be game on, but we're going to have to launch a bit of a comeback. Pedri into Morales. Where has this come from? They've shown nothing in the game so far. Now Lamine Yamal for... Oh my God, what a save that is. Russo's made up for that first Yamal goal, I think. That's a world-class save. They do have the corner, though. Pedri's going to swing it towards the near post. Oh my God, it's just wide from Kamada. Lads, get it together. I need to shout at them. I'm going to berate them. We're passing it around the back. Go and get a goal. There have been more highlights in this last added 6 minutes than there were in the entirety of the rest of the game. Torrent over the top. Yamal heads it. Kamada. I think he's offside this time. But is it? If he's not, this is curtains. They would have scored 4 in the last few minutes of this game. Disallowed. Okay, that one is offside. We are having to withstand heavy pressure. Let's get rid of that. He was offside. Look, 87, 89, 92 the goals have come in, and they look like they were going to score more. It's 3-1 the final score. This is a terrible result. We need to launch an unbelievable comeback in the second leg. Otherwise, 10 seasons is for nothing. We will have failed the challenge. This could be such a sad end. I'll see you for the second leg. All right, it is time for that second leg where we need to chase down a 3-1 deficit. We need to win this game by 2 clear goals to take it to extra time, 3 clear goals to win it in normal time. And I've made a couple of changes. The first of which is Butler has come in as our right wing back. That is for the suspended William Wahongo. But Kawayne Butler is an able deputy. We bought him from Manchester United. The other change is that I've brought back Francisco Rodriguez, our left-sided centre-back. They sort of just fell apart, didn't they? I'm hoping, though, that now with us at home, we can turn this around. It would make the story even better, wouldn't it, if we could turn around a 2-goal deficit from the first leg here to get to the semi-finals. Here come the teams then. Let's get ourselves into this second leg. And we are underway. It's raining here in Hereford, as you might expect. First 5 minutes, nothing really happening. Barcelona have actually had the first couple of chances. I'm going to encourage the team, even though we are losing. It should be okay. We've got a corner. We do have big men. Gotan to swing it in left-footed towards Butler. Headed away. It's going to be picked up. Gotan has it again. Gotan, go for goal yourself. It's blocked and cleared from Mertens. Out wide to Rothwell on the left-hand side. Players in the middle if he can find them. Wilson on the edge. Into Shuhan. Back to Wilson. Shuhan. Someone needs to get a shot away. Butler. We saw this in the first leg. Really compact and narrow. Asawi into Butler. Back in the team. Replacing our suspended Wahongo at right wing back. Kawayne Butler gives us the lead. Half of the job is done. The 2-goal deficit is down to 1, and it's a lovely bit of interplay. Little narrow run from Butler, and he finds the top corner past Joan Garcia. 1-0 on about 15 minutes. This is well and truly game on for the ultimate storyline. Come on, lads. There's another highlight literally a minute later, and we're snapping into tackles, winning the ball back from the Barcelona players in the midfield. We look really up for this. Wilson
There's Butler again down the right-hand side. He's causing problems for them. Butler checks back. Asawi scores! I talked about him when I first signed him, saying, expect pile drivers.
Expect pile drivers.
It's his first goal in the Champions League this year, and it's an absolute pile driver to make it 3-3 on aggregate. I've called it all those years ago in game. Butler, goal and assist for him. Pile driver from Asawi. Joan Garcia, you've got crisp packet wrists, my friend. He cannot keep the ball out, and all of a sudden, inside 2 minutes, look, we've scored 2 goals to get ourselves back on level terms. Now, I want us to keep our foot on the pedal. I want us to go and get another goal. I want to go and try and take this away from Barcelona. If they score now, it would be a real balloon popper of a goal, wouldn't it? It's actually into the box. It's cleared away. There might even be a break for us here. We look really on it today. Gotan. We've got players streaming forward. Asawi for another. Oh, my word, it's saved. Joan Garcia saved it. I thought that was going to be a glorious 3rd goal on the night for us. 25 on the clock. We're back in this tie, well and truly. That probably now will be half-time. It is indeed. 2-0 on the night, 3-3 on aggregate. I need to tell this team that they can absolutely go and win this. It's time for everyone to dig in and give everything you've got left. We've picked it up in their half now on 53 minutes. Gotan's in behind to make it... What has happened there? Why hasn't he scored? He looked like it was easier to score, and then he put it all the way across. It hit the post, and it's gone out. That should have been 3-0. That should have been 4-3. Kalisa can bring us forward again. We look the best when we win the ball high up the pitch from Barcelona as they try and play out. Although we have actually built our own attack here. Shuhan into the box. Wilson, it's in! It's 3-0! I'm sorry for shouting. I'm so excited. This is what Football Manager is all about. It's 3-0 on the night. And from 3-1 down, we now lead 4-3. Wilson, the general, as I keep calling him, has put it in to make it 3-0, and now we need to hold on. Do I even dare to change anything? 13th play. I'm now going to make a change. Let's just try and see it through. Mertens for Carnahan and Gotan for Gregory. 2 tried and trusted wingers for us are going to come on. We'll do Rothwell for Tweedley. I'm going to do Etherson. Again, really experienced Scottish international. In case we go to extra time, I don't want to change too many. I'm going to change in possession. I'm going to drop these guys back to slightly deeper, and I'm going to go, let's go positive. I went balanced last time and it kind of bit us, didn't it? So I'm going to go positive. 5 to play. It's now time to go full time wasting mode. There's 4 added on, and we've played 1.5 of them. Into Torrent down the left hand side. Joffre Torrent into Amad Diallo. That's a lovely bit of play to skip past Butler, but Butler bites back. I don't know why I've gone full alliteration mode there. Why is this highlight so long? It's usually a terrible sign, isn't it? Amad again. Up against Butler down this left-hand side. Up against Gregory. Eventually, we've won it back. Just keep the ball. Just keep the ball. Shuhan, go to the corner. There's 1.5 minutes to play here. He's given it away. Bernal's won it back. They've got players running forward. This is the longest highlight I have ever seen in my entire life. And it's the one that matters the most. It's the one that matters the most, probably. While Drago is in behind, it could be 3-1 here. It's deflected. It's going to be a corner. The keeper's up. The drama. And this is only the quarter-final. Blow the whistle, referee. He does! We've done it! From 3-1 down to 4-3 up. A 3-0 win in the second leg means that the journey goes on. This is going to be the longest video on the channel. 3-0 Hereford win. We're in the semi-final. Who are we going to play? Real Madrid or PSG? It's going to be PSG that we play, and then it's Newcastle Spurs in the other semi. Surely the Champions League is there for us to go and win, if only we can get past PSG. This would be the most disgusting way to end this entire journey if we didn't beat PSG in this next round now. Oh my word, what a comeback. That was glorious. I'll see you for the semi-final. Okay, here we go then. Semi-final time. It all comes down to this. This could be where it crashes and burns, but actually we've had our moment. I do feel like that sometimes in Football Manager. We've had our moment. That comeback win against Barcelona was so glorious. So let's just see if we can go and top it off now. We're going to make a few changes. We're going to go Wahongo back in for Butler. Even though Butler was so gloriously good for us, I think Wahongo is the better player. And I'm not going to let Romance get ahead of that, I don't think, at this stage. There are some enforced changes, though, in our midfield. Etherson and Ruiz both come in, and that is for the injured Shuhan, who's not fully fit, but is fit enough for the bench. But John Wilson does not make it. He is injured for at least the next 3 to 9 days and might well miss the second leg as well. I hope that's not the case, but Ruiz is going to play in this role here instead of Shuhan, and Ethison in here instead of Wilson. The rest of the team is exactly the same. And yes, I am going to continue in the push it to the limit style, even away from home. Even though we ended up losing that first game to Barcelona, where they came back, for 87 minutes, it worked perfectly as an away performance, didn't it? Let's get ourselves underway then in the Champions League semi-final first leg. They've got Doué Musiala. They've got Caicedo. Here we are in the Parc de France. In all of its glory, there's your Hereford team. I'd like a big performance from Johnny Singer, I reckon. I'm going to call it now. That striker that they've got looks absolutely massive. I can say Grillo. I recognise the name as well. Is he massive? He's 6 foot, but he is also... Look at this, what I'm talking about. The new gens in this save are outrageous. Look at him. My word. That's what we're up against. Musiala over out wide to Doué, into Grillo, who I was just really... I've clicked on him way too much. I'm tempting the fate here. Guardiola, Caicedo, João Neves. That's a lovely effort and a really good save. It's actually going pretty well now. We're on the attack after 23 minutes. Rothwell, Singer is on the end of it. Not a lot has happened in this first 20 minutes, and they're out of nowhere. Johnny Singer, I called for a big performance from him. He is on the end of the cross from Rothwell. Rothwell just picks it up. There's no real danger here, and he beats his man and is able to get the cross in. And even though there are defenders in that middle, no one picks up Johnny Singer, and it's into that side netting. 1-0 Hereford in the Parc de France. That could be a massive goal. We've been here before, though. We took the lead against Barcelona. Now we need to see the game through properly. And this is now about to be half-time. So far, so good. We've got a corner right at the end of the half. A second goal here could be game-changing. I've dropped us down to positive, and I have started to waste time just a little bit. We've scored a goal. Is he onside? It's Mertens at the back post. It was a deflected shot. It is 2-0. There's not even a VAR check. This is going exactly according to plan. It's the Barcelona game plan, but actually being executed properly. We have got that all-important second goal. Mertens was involved in the build-up. He moves all the way across that 6-yard line, look. Wahongo goes back to the edge of the box and Ethison. And, I mean, he's offside, no? He looks well offside there from that angle. I think it hits a PSG defender, and does that reset when it was given? Because he looked offside the entire time. I feel like we might have just paid the refs or something here. I mean, maybe our chairman has paid the refs or something. 2-0. We will take it as it's about to be half-time here. I don't know what I've just witnessed. Have I witnessed corruption? Was there a crime committed there? It feels like there might have been, but we are in the driving seat as we go into this second half. Even better if we can add another goal. Gotan swings it in from the corner. It's back in there. Johnny Singer scored again. It's 3-0. Away from home. This time there will be a VAR check. That time he looks way more onside than our second goal. VAR are checking it. But the goal's been awarded, and we are flying through this game away at PSG. The ball comes back in here from Mertens. Rodriguez, he's well onside easily. He's never actually in an offside position. Half an hour to play. I've dropped us to balance. We are wasting time a lot right now. I've told them to be way less creatively free. And I might even drop these fullbacks back down, drop these wing backs back down to fullback. But there's another highlight starting for us. This could be easy for us. Mertens through to Singer for another. He has got another. Again, they're going to check VAR, I'm pretty sure, for offside. It's 4-0. We don't even need to go and play the second leg. We are marching through to a Champions League final, and it all comes from... They're not even checking it for offside. It's a lovely ball. Mertens, he's onside. I told you I needed Singer to churn up in this game. He's got himself a hat-trick. And here we are. We've just added time to play. We are going to see through this one and take a 4-0 lead back home. A lead which is surely unassailable. A bit like the second leg of this game here with Spurs Newcastle, who have won 5-0 in that other first leg. We are going to have... I'm going to say it because I'm so confident this is going to happen. It'll be the ultimate bot job if it doesn't. We're going to play Spurs in a Champions League final. I might even go and play this second leg, let you know how it goes, and then we prepare for a Champions League final to finish this save. We've actually made it to the final stage, I think. And that is indeed now confirmed, having just played the second leg. Now, we did try our best to throw this away against PSG and Roberto De Zerbi as their boss. We lost 3-1 in this game, but I did do a few bits of rotation, and I did just try and see it through. Like, we started Tweedley, we started Ethison, but a goal from Asawi kind of made sure. It was 5-3 on aggregate, and we are indeed through to the Champions League final, where we are going to play Spurs. That game takes place on the 2nd of June in Dortmund at the Signal Iduna Park, and we're going to go and play that now together. Before that, though, I have the small matter of making sure we win this Premier League title. We are 2 points ahead of City with 3 games to go. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's all about this Champions League final, but I will see you in Dortmund in June. And this then is what it all comes down to. A Champions League final versus Spurs after 10 seasons of taking Hereford from the National League North to the Champions League final. And it's Spurs in the final. Surely we have to get over the line here, especially they actually lost the second leg 5-1 and ended up winning 6-5 on aggregate. It was a 5-0 win in the first leg, a 5-1 loss in the second leg, but they are through to the final and they finished 4th in the league. We've won the league again this year, 88 points. Spurs down on 74 points. We are a better team than Tottenham Hotspur. We just need to make sure we actually show that in a Champions League final in Dortmund. It's now the day. Let's now pick our team. And I think it pretty much picks itself because we've had a bit of a break since the last game. We're going to go like this. Final check here. Yeah, we're going to go like this. We're going to go Russo in goal, Rodriguez and Kalisa as our centre-backs. Wahongo starts right back with Butler on the bench. We might just need him. Rothwell on the left-hand side. We're going to go Wilson, Asawi and Shuhan as our first choice midfield. Gotan on the right. Mertens on the left. And the star man, Johnny Singer, hat-trick in that semi-final first leg, is going to score the goals to win us the Champions League. I'm sure of it. Let's go and play a Champions League final. It all comes down to this. Spurs lost 5-1 in the last Champions League match. There's our team. Let's have a look at this Spurs team. I am intrigued to see who they've got. Vitor Roque, Xavi Simons is still there. That's Christian Mosquera, ex-Arsenal. He's done a Sol Campbell reversed to go across to Spurs. And we're underway at the Signal Iduna Park Champions League final in June. It's a glorious spectacle. 1 minute on the clock. Go on, lads. Go and win the Champions League for us, please. Spurs on the attack straight away then here. Vitor... Oh, my word. They've got off to the perfect start. It's the worst possible start for us. Spurs have scored inside the first 6 minutes here. It's a lovely bit of football. It was slow and patient. Then Bergvall, little bit of interplay with their right wing or right back there. And then Vitor Roque has smashed it past Russo and we're 1-0 down. How Spursy would this be if we lost to them? This has not been the first half that we wanted here. We are behind after 40 minutes and we're not really playing that well. Although here we go on an attack of our own. Asawi down the right-hand side into the box, but tackled and cleared. Wahongo picks it back up. We've lost it again. We're really not playing well. This reminds me of that last 5 minutes of that Barcelona tie. Can we, though, get it back together? There's a chance that it's wide. That would have been terrible. That's a really good save by Russo again. That's going to be the end of this first half. We are trailing at the halfway point of our Champions League final with Spurs. Maybe I was too confident. I was definitely too confident. I didn't see this coming. I'm going to tell them, you've been terrible so far. They seem motivated by that. Where can I make changes then? We've got not a great performance from Gotan, Shuhan, or Rothwell. I'm going to do Shuhan for Ruiz. I'm wondering if we do Tweedley for Rothwell as well. 2 changes. Can you go and get yourselves back into a Champions League final here, lads? Gotan and Mertens struggling. I'm going to have to do something different. Let's go like this out of possession. I'm going to make some sweeping changes here. In possession, we're going to get Mertens and Gotan off. I'm going to do Gotan for Villa Joanna. And we're going to do Mertens off for Josh King. Josh King's still at the club, by the way. Villa Joanna. Let's do it like this, in fact. It's a bit easier to do. Let's play a little bit more narrow and see if it can change something. I'm panicking a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. There's half an hour to play. Can you do something to get yourselves back into this Champions League final? We've seen no highlights from us in this second half, and this is a real chance from the free kick. Lucas Bergvall, Spurs captain. It's a good effort. It's hit the bar and gone wide. It wasn't even a save. That was a really good free kick. There's 15 to play, and we're finally launching an attack of our own. Wahongo down the right. Back post cross. Headed away. It's going to be picked up by a Spurs player. Where are our bodies in that midfield? These are my final tweaks. I'm going to throw things forward a little bit more. In possession, we're going to hit... It's almost like a 4-2-4 that we've got going on. Out of possession, it looks like this. We're going to go back with a bit more width. This is what we're going to work with for the final 10 or so minutes. Are you going to be able, lads, to get us one chance to salvage. Yes, we are! Villajuana's just scored. The highlight started and he's just headed it in. 4 to play. We're back level in the Champions League final from a set piece. What a terrible way to give that as a highlight. Villajuana, the sub-striker, has headed in at the back post and suddenly we're level again. Drop it down to attacking, lads. 5 added on. Champions League final looks like it's going to go to extra time unless somebody can win it now. I've not even had a chance to react to this. We've thrown men forward, changed a load. It's actually managed to pay off in the end. Josh King into Carnahan. We're looking for a winner here. Johnny Singer, find somebody in the middle. Carnahan, can he find the pass? Little jinking run. Wilson! Wilson smashes over after 92 minutes. That could have been it. But this Champions League final, unless there's a goal right now, is going to extra time. We've played the added time, but there is a highlight. Is the referee going to allow this to progress, or is he going to blow the whistle now? Spurs have it. There is the final whistle. We are heading to extra time. I don't think I want to take Johnny Singer off. I think he's so important to us. I want to keep him on this pitch. So I'm going to take Josh King back off, which is a bit embarrassing for him. But I think getting Gregory on that right-hand side could make a difference for us. 87 minutes, the equaliser. After trailing since the 6th minute, Spurs are Spursying it up maybe. We have just over a half of extra time to go and try and find a winner. Or this goes to penalties. Vuskovic has it. The narrative that Football Manager loves to dish up is right here. Spurs could go and win it here. Bergvall down the right-hand side into Savinho. Can he find an attack here? Xavi Simons has scored. I could see the glory. I could see it. I could like that late equaliser, the Barcelona turnaround, the domination of PSG. But Spurs are here to ruin the party, aren't they? It's a nice finish from Xavi Simons. And again, we have to pull out a miracle. Xavi Simons in extra time here in Dortmund. I think I'm all out of subs as well, aren't I? I am. Second half, let's just pray. Everybody, right now, I want you to pray. Let's just pray to the FM gods and hope that something happens. Our Lord of FM above, please just give us a really good highlight. There are 9 minutes to play in this game. Can I do anything to make this happen? Maybe push Ruiz further forward. Do you into the middle. Have it like this out of possession as well. We can do that, can't we? He can kind of play there. Let's go. Let's try that. In fact, let's leave them further forward. We might as well, as we are really looking now for a miracle. 5 to play. We haven't really created anything in the game. We had that one set piece that Villajuana scored the header from. That is it. There's a minute to play here, and we are going to fail. 10 seasons of toiling. 10 seasons of success. Let's be honest. 10 seasons has resulted in us losing to Tottenham bloody Hotspur. I can't believe it. It's the most FM thing ever. Spurs are your European champions. Spurs are your Champions League winners after 10 seasons here. I've failed. That means I need to buy one of you guys who subscribes to the channel tickets to your local team. Leave me a comment down below of who your local team is. I'll put all of those comments into a draw, and one of you I'll be in touch with. Thank you so much for joining me in this adventure, in this little short series. Please leave a like and subscribe because I'm a bit heartbroken. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.